Good afternoon, everybody.
So hello everyone. Welcome to this. Yes, sir, I'm audible, I hope.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, this is Harrison.
Hey, hi, Mr. Harrison. Am I audible, sir?
Hello, Mr. Harrison. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Cool. So, hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for, again, participating in this very important agriculture roundtable series. And today we are having our last roundtable, which is focused on agriculture protocols. And it has been a very interesting journey so far. We had 7 very interesting roundtables, starting from the first one, which was on irrigation, where we had speakers from all across the world, from Delft University in Netherlands to a couple of companies in Israel, some top companies from, I'll say that, India as well as globally, companies like NetFM, JN Irrigation, Rivoli. So we had awesome speakers talking about how micro irrigation can be used to make agriculture more sustainable. And then we got into the next roundtable, which was predominantly focused on digital agriculture. And we all understand that precision agriculture and smart agriculture, they are backed by digital technologies. They're very critical for a very simple reason. We want to reduce our waste. We want to ensure we have better productivity and profitability for our farmers. And companies which participated included Cropin, AgriTask. They created a lot of value. And we had a very awesome panel from companies like PwC, EY, and all that, who talked about how digital agriculture would be redefining the way we do farming. Next, we moved to another very critical topic, which was on inputs management. We had companies which were into seeds, like East West Seeds. We had companies like FMC, Bayer, who are into actually chemical inputs, typically pesticide fertilizers. Then we also had Bioma, which is one of the leading company from UK, active in bioag world. So again, very interesting deliberations on roundtable on input management. Then we moved to something which was more related to the policy and investments, where we deliberated upon corporate farming, community farming, I'll say impact of multilateral agencies, development funding, investors, which are venture capitalists and private equity in agriculture domain. So another very important roundtable, which was again was taken very highly by our audience. Then we moved to the agriculture financing at the farmers level, where we had again those organizations which are into microfinance, the banks like Rabobank, and then we have consulting agencies. We had agriculture fintech companies who are creating algorithms for making credit easy and seamless for farmers. The previous roundtable we had was on the market access, which is again a very critical part of farming, because at the end of the day, whatever produce you're having, you need to find ways to ensure you are able to sell it. And now finally coming to today's roundtable, where today we'll be talking about the agriculture protocols. And this is a very important subject with very simple reason that we are seeing there are various ways of doing farming, and all of them they have evolved, whether we talk about conventional farming, which includes both synthetic inputs driven farming as well as organic farming, or we talk about controlled protected farming, typically vertical farms, aeroponics, hydroponics, aquaculture. All these are contributing immensely to agriculture. We also now seeing that the urban farming happening in the drawing rooms and the rooftops of the consumers. So pretty interesting subject. And to delve into that, we are having a very renowned expert today, Mr. Harrison.K. Gardiner. He's a founder and president of Mill Agro Solutions. He's a licensed certified crop advisor. He's based in Philippines, dealing with services to the agriculture community to bring practical inputs in plant growth, health products, and water management inputs, working within the organic and conventional farming distribution needs. Floor is yours, sir. And if you want, you can share your screen and take it forward. Let me just enable the share screen. Yeah.
Okay, let me see here.
So we can see your screen. No, again, screen share has stopped.
Hmm.
So you would be having a green button on the bottom of the Zoom share screen. Then you have to just select the presentation.
Let me just talk. Is this okay?
Yeah, sure. That should be fine. That should be fine.
Okay, well, essentially, everyone indicated to me that I would be talking about organic production for enhanced incomes for farmers. And so I want to bring to you that and essentially talk to farmers in this presentation, what they should expect and what they should know about when they become certified or when they go into the organic certification programs and their crops become certified. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, sir, we can. We can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, let's start off on the same page. What we need to define what organic is, and I can do that right now. And organic farming, agriculture promotes and enhances agro ecosystem health. It utilizes inputs of compost, manure, teas, biostimulants, wood vinegar, and biochar, to name a few. The focus on organic agriculture is soil building practices such as crop rotation, intercropping, symbiotic associates, such as adding microorganisms to your soil or inoculating legume seeds to fix nitrogen, cover crops, organic fertilizers, and minimum tillage. The whole thing adds up to a soil building system management program. And what is essential and what every certifier will ask of a potential organic farmer is that he present to him a program in order to build up his soils. So that is the most critical thing, is the soil management. And I'll be coming back to this time and time again throughout the short presentation. Now, there are three driving forces that kind of pushes the organic systems along. Can you gentlemen hear me okay there? Okay, good.
Yes, sir. You are good. You are good.
Okay, good. The number one pusher is the consumer or market-driven side of the coin. Products are clearly identified through certifications and labeling. And labeling is very important. I'll come back to that after I explain to you better the consumer or market-driven side of the equation. Consumers take a conscious decision in production practices and handling of the produce. Consumers have a strong influence and affect demand for the organic products. It's a consumer pushing the industry along in order to go organic. You know, this is common in USA and Europe, where you have stores that just cater to the organic side, but it's also very common here in the Philippines. For example, I live on an island right next door to a tourist destination called Boracay. And Boracay has several hotels, several restaurants, but hundreds, if not thousands, scattered throughout the island. It's one of the premier tourist destinations in Asia. At least it was until the pandemic hit, and then everything got quiet. But I'm thinking along the lines of pre-pandemic and what we're looking at when we get back to a normal situation. Over the years, they've been bringing in produce from Tagaytay, which is probably about 2 hours away by boat, or 2 days away by boat. And Tagaytay is a very strong produce producing areas that caters to the Manila area. And so they got to send it, and it takes 2 days for the produce to get here. Now, what has happened here, I live on the other island, and I'm about 15 minutes away by boat from Boracay, and I live in an area called Malay. Now, that area, growers have popped up there, and they're growing food, and they're selling it, and they're delivering it to Boracay because the demand is there. And they're getting certified organic produce production there, where you can't get the other certified organic from Tagaytay. And so that's creating an opportunity for the local farmers to come together and produce an organic product for the high-end hotels, the high-end restaurants, and so forth that are scattered throughout the island. In addition to that, they deliver boxes on a weekly basis to residents in the area, and it's called community supported agriculture. It's very similar to that, in which the community, you buy a box of fresh fruits once a week, and it's delivered right to your doorstep. And that's another common way to go. But you have the consumers that are willing to do that, and they will do that. And so you have that not only in developed countries, but also in the developing countries, such as in the Philippines, where I live. Now, let me go back and talk a little bit about labeling, because that is critical in order to be an certified organic farmer that meets all the requirements worldwide. The label is certified to standards. A certain label will have codes on it, and that will tell you whether or not the product is indeed a certified product. It has the name of the certifying agency on it. It essentially is a guide to a consumer to an informed consumer, a consumer that knows what he's looking for, can look at that label. They can look at a label in India, in New York, Germany, France, Japan, and they should be able to read that label and interpret whether or not it is something they want to consume that would be an organically approved product. But all the standards are the same if it's a correct labeling. And labeling is the key to many growers in order to get sales of your product. But first you have to become certified, and that takes a whole process in itself. And I'll tell you about that too. Now, the label follows the standards that originally the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations put out, along with the World Health Association, WHO. They put out a document called Codex Alimentaris Commission. It's the food code, in other words. And that's the code that private industry takes a look at. This code, the FAO, WHO, is a intergovernment body that sets the standards essentially for the production and the evaluation of organic products. So everybody is on the same page, and they in conjunction work with IFOAM, which is the International Federation of Organic Movements. And consider IFOAM like an umbrella type of corporation. It's a nonprofit organization that oversees, not oversees. They don't do the overseeing. They set the standards for the companies such as OMRI, which is Organic Materials Review Institute, or EcoCert, the group out of France and in Europe that sets the standard for organic production there. They fall under. They use the same standards that are published by IFOAM, and so you have to follow that. And the economic union and the European Union follow this. The USA, Argentina, and Tunisia, also in the Asia Pacific, Japan and India are a part of that. In fact, India has the most organic farms of any other country in the world, and so it's quite interesting. And but anyway. The other driver for this is the service-driven sector. And this would be the number two after the consumer or market-driven sector. And service-driven sector is applied in the European Union. And what this does, it gives compensations to farmers that want to be organic farmers. It actually pays compensation to farmers for the extra costs of certification, money. The money is used to generate environmental goodwill. Environmental good, essentially, is what they say. Because in Europe, they look at organic farming. It improves the groundwater, and it goes to groundwater conservation. And so from the groundwater conservation, because over the years, France has had endless problems with groundwater contamination, particularly from fertilizers, nitrates, nitrites, phosphates, and go into the organic production. It eliminates it. It reduces that quite a bit. And so they look at that as organic farms improve the water conservation capacity of a certain area. And so that's not too common other than in Europe. Now, number three, you have the farmer-driven sector. Some farmers believe that conventional farming is unsustainable, and so they don't want to be involved in an unsustainable system such as conventional farming. And let me give you an example of this. Back in the 50s, there was a large rice grower in California. And they, late 50s, early 60s, they wanted to go organic. And they essentially did this before there were any type of international organization. IFOAM was not even in existence at that time. They came into existence, I believe, in the 70s. So early 60s, this large rice grower, and they were able to do it because they were so large, and they already had a good market share anyway, but they wanted to go organically. And so they did that. in that process, they also vertically integrated a lot of their distribution. They make their own rice cakes. They make their own rice cookies. They've added value to their rice production by doing that and selling that directly using their own brand and organic registration in order to do that. And they have become quite successful. They're the largest, I think, probably the largest organic rice grower in the world. And like I say, they started in Northern California years ago. And I at one time worked in California in the organic industry, and back in the 90s and early part of this century. And so I'm well familiar with them. Now, another example would be the small roadside stands, small hectarage, maybe a half hectare or so. And these guys, they are common along roadsides, along tourist spots, even in where I live here in Malay, Philippines, near Boracay, which is a tourist destination. During the on-season, you have fruit stands along the highway selling for things such as dragon fruit, things that are grown in their backyard, and they'll say no spray or organic. That's kind of questionable because they so many times don't have a label. If they have a label, that means they are definitely organic, and because that'll tell you if they are indeed organic, and that's why a label is so important. And developing countries, here's an example. Organic production is used to improve household food security and to achieve reduction in input costs. And that's very common. Transitioning from traditional subsistence farming to organic production is one thing to consider. But the problem with that is that when you do transition from traditional rain-fed agriculture to organics, you usually get an increase in yield, an increase in production. But that's only if the farmer has tenure to that land. And many times the farmer himself, every year to year, could be different. And so it only works that way if the farmer has an investment in the land, if he has a tenure in the land. And the reason for that is the whole process behind organic farming is increasing the productivity of your soil. It's all in soil, having a plan to do that. And that's what one of the first things when a farmer becomes certified, he's got to submit his plan to improve the soil condition, soil management plan. He has to submit that to the certifier. And this is true in India, this is true in Japan or wherever. These are set standards that takes you along to become a certified organic farmer. Now, let me just go into yields and systems. Let me give you some example. Industrial countries such as United States, Australia, Canada, organic is not quite as doesn't quite yield as much as conventional farming does in those countries, because conventionals can draw upon a lot of things, but that's closing. That's not always the case. There are exceptions to the rule, and that goes back to old farms that have been farmed by the same farmer over several years, in which the soil is really built up in maximum. I've seen this several times throughout the world, in which the farms that have been family owned and passed through generations, those soils are the most productive soils I've ever seen, because they follow a soil management program, and they can actually out yield conventional farms that you find in industrial countries. Now, another thing to look at is the green revolution areas, where you have high inputs of hybrid varieties, you have high inputs of pesticides and high inputs of fertilizers, all synthetic products. They are probably equal to organic production. And so you get these are notes taken by observations taken through the International Soil Science Society. Some of this information I'm giving you right now. And so, and I can't say, I think the green revolution has kind of died out from what I can see. There is some areas, and I've seen this in some areas, that they just use a lot of pesticides and a lot of fertilizer, and their yields actually go down over several years. I've seen this in China, statistics on this, and that's using the green revolution areas. Now, I hope with this short little presentation, I'm able to give people ideas on organic production, what to expect, the priorities. But the main thing is you need to define your market as an organic farmer. Once you become, don't think that planting it and the market will come. Don't think that. The market will take its time. It's not, and you have to have something that the market can absorb. You need to put thought into your market, and that way you'll have products that will enhance your income as a farmer, because you'll have the market for that. And I think the observations of the gentleman I know near where I live here in Philippines, of producing a product that creates less of a carbon footprint than shipping it all the way from Manila. He just ships it across the channel, which is about a 15-minute boat ride. His farm's about 10 minutes away from there. And so you get fresh produce, organically certified produce, easily. And so, that is a real winner right there. But you have to study your market, and then you have to go through the whole process of becoming certified. And that won't happen until you start if you take uncertified land, it takes approximately 3 years in order to convert it over. Okay, that's all I have to say. And if you have any questions, feel free to give them to me.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir, for really insightful intervention. We are having a couple of questions. The first question is that for those who are actually doing the conventional farming using synthetic inputs, typically pesticides and fertilizer, if they have to move to organic, what are the challenges of transition according to you?
Well, the challenge is the first 3 years, because it takes 3 years to transition, and you don't get any. You have to sell your produce as conventional, even though you're farming organically. You have to go through a 3-year period in order to become certified organic. But the good thing for them is they already have the land. They may already have some markets developed in which they can transition that over to organics. But the inputs, the organic inputs are available even in developing countries. The imports to transition over are available. They have to do a little research on it, but you can do that, and you can transition over. And what's happening now, I notice, is some of the large plantations. This is particularly true in Central America, and to a lesser extent, it's starting to happen here in the Philippines. Some of the large multinational pineapple companies are looking at transitioning over to organics, and they want to do it, and they want to have it on a label, and they want to be real sincere about what they're doing by following the transitioning and organic production to the letter. Well, what we've noticed here in the Philippines also is that some of the smaller farmers, there's no many times the enforcement agency is not available to enforce the standards, and so unfortunately, some independent smaller farmers may kind of, well, for lack of better words, cheat on their programs. They say they are organic, but they are not. They're using conventional inputs, and that's why one farmer got out of the organics, because he couldn't compete. He was growing organic-wise, and his competitors were saying they were growing organic, but they were not. It was kind of a hybrid form. They'd sneak in their bag of urea at nighttime or something. But those are growing pains that organizations have to go through, and things. And like I say, what's really going to push it, the organics, I think, in some of these countries where they have the multinational plantations, is the multinational plantations following organic production to the T because of the liability. They have to do that because they're a big company, and by doing so, that will create opportunities for other products to come in, and just be because of large volume of fertilizers coming in, that will also be available to the local local people if need be. But essentially, a lot of the organic traditional farmers can do organic inputs, developing their own inputs, on-farm inputs. The majority of those can be on-farm inputs.
So we have got one more question. During this transition period, do you see the yields falling substantially?
Not necessarily. It depends what they were doing beforehand, how their fertility was before that. But that first year, it can drop a little bit, but there are ways to get around that. And what you want to do, you really want to build that soil up right from the start. So adding, sometimes even adding jars of biology that are approved to the soil in itself, concentrated forms of biology, in addition to organic material from compost is a really good way to go. Cover crops, all this that first year could be a challenge, but after the first year it starts to improve, and by that third year you should be up there. But you have to follow it with good analysis and so forth of the soil and good observation.
So you have had experience across the world, including one of the very difficult, I'll say, landscape. Islands are always filled with, especially tropical island, with all sort of pests and insects.
They can be, yeah.
Yeah. How do you see that challenge being taken care in organic farming?
Well, many times that can be. It's easier to actually grow some of you have companion planting, and so actually the islands are not that difficult. Organic farming in the islands are not as difficult as, say, farming in the Amazonian region, where you have large stretches of open areas. You have isolated islands that have their own ecosystems, essentially, and you can start developing things relatively fast here.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, sir, for your intervention. It was really a pleasure and honor to have you with the expertise you are having across the globe. And you live in one of the beautiful country, Philippines. Always a pleasure to
it
be
is.
in Philippines.
It's a paradise, yeah.
Yeah. So enjoy your life in paradise. And
okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Well, organic production paradise is paradise in itself, I guess.
Exactly. Truly believing with that. So now we move on to our next speaker, and we are having Dr. Dragana Vukasinovic. Dr. Dragana is the founder and CEO of Fauna Smart Technologies, a company dedicated to creating agroecosystems in line with nature. Working as a researcher and a lecturer at several European universities in direct collaboration with farmers solving their biggest pain, paved the way for her to put innovation into farmers' hands using entrepreneurship. She gathered the team of multidisciplinary scientists to work on intersection of biology and technology to help farmers transition to greener, healthier, and more efficient farming practice. So floor is your Dragana.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. I will share my presentation now with you regarding the ecosystem of products we are building. And if you can, do you see it?
Yes, we can see your presentation.
Fantastic. Just to do this.
Perfect.
So basically within Fauna Smart Technologies, what we actually, why is Fauna Smart Technologies? Because we actually want to use technologies in a smart way to empower fauna, to empower beneficial fauna, while we actually keep pests and diseases below economic threshold level. So while they are below economic threshold level, it's the nature that controls the nature further. That's why it's pretty much about fauna. So as you can see in our logo, and how we work, it's pretty much about the intersection of biology and technology, giving this interface, user-friendly interface to the farmers who are our primary customers, agricultural advisors, further technicians, and R&D leaders. So basically, where we can see that within the ecosystem of the current agtech ecosystems and also ag biotech ecosystem of products, there's a lot of platforms, and they are dealing with separate problems. And we could see that actually farmers, they really want to farm. With our farmers, they're like, could you actually make all these technologies more user-friendly for us? We can't deal with 15 different platforms. And then actually they get a lot of raw data, and they don't have time to analyze that raw data. Neither farmers are usually not mathematical modelers or statisticians on how to actually leverage and get information from that data. So in all these contacts with our farmers, we could see that actually it's really time to make this connected solutions, and connect information, to extract that information from the data and connect to the solutions. So this is actually what we do at Fauna Smart Technologies. It's not only AgTech that you get diagnostics, what's happening, but also guiding farmers throughout the growing seasons on what are the next steps. And this guidance should be then now in line with the newest exactly strategies and trends and European regulations and directive towards this green transition. So this guidance is basically designed to help them transition, exactly as Harrison said. Like, it's really tough for farmers when now they need to transition, they will have losses. So now, how to connect technologies and then bring user-friendly and real-time solutions to the field? Because we could see that also right now, farmers, when they send to extension services their samples or to university labs, they get this information 15 days or in 2 weeks or 1 month. So we do have technologies for real-time solutions to be applied in the field. And this is exactly where we're kind of like, okay, let's now leverage these technologies and bring these labs outside to the field. So this is pretty much how we actually work, and I will tell more about our projects, how we actually are bridging this gap that we could see, and how actually to take life sciences that we as life scientists within Fauna, I'm also a life scientist, and I usually like to say it's the life sciences that will break and make the new world. So how can we leverage this cutting edge academic knowledge now real time in field? So this is pretty much what I think also it has been covered a bit, or actually a lot, when it comes to regulatory right now processes in the EU. And right now, like in the EU, more than 10.5 million farmers are transitioning to what? And this is the thing, what is the new way of farming? And that's actually the tough part to crack. What is the new way of farming? Because more and more chemical pesticides are getting banned. And then we also have in the European Union biodiversity strategies, Green Deal, Farm to Fork. So all these strategies are further supporting this direction. And now farmers are switching to biological ways of farming, but that's tough because how chemical pesticides operate and how biopesticides operate, that's different. And farmers do lack, majority of farmers do lack knowledge about this. So then we have this risk-averse growers, of course, that's going to slow down the transition. And then we could see that right now also there's more and more space for this multidisciplinary and cross-disciplinary collaboration between academia, between industries. And also we do see that startups are really actually the ones solving some really big problems and also making good businesses. So this is actually how we actually see that this through cross collaboration and also experts' knowledge, we can actually crack and take this information from the big data and provide solutions to the farmers. As I already said, within Fauna Smart Technologies, it's the core that it's life science, leveraged by diverse technologies. And one of the projects we actually work on is about plant immunity. So it's about leveraging the knowledge on how immunity in plants works, and if immunity is active or if immunity is not active. So this is pretty much immunity as a service, we call it like that. And it's also something that we want to leverage through lab on paper technology. So this is actually, right now we do immunity as a service, as a lab test, but we are leveraging through lab on paper technology. And we call it pregnancy test for plants. It's pretty much how actually it's out there with people. And we do focus here on greenhouse settings. And when it comes to DNA as a service, this is also, for example, for aphids, for mites, and all these super pests in greenhouses, but also in open field systems that have really this, they are an example of a prime example of a rapid contemporary evolution, because with all that selection pressure, they really evolve and develop a resistance to pesticides. So in order to know who is who, and a lot of them are actually with aphids and mites, are so-called cryptic species. So basically, in order to know who is who and what to do about it, what kind of a crop protection strategy to use, we need to target particular part of DNA. And this is also something that we can do in 3D. So we can actually provide information to farmers what is happening in their field and what is the composition of their insects, and then actually design crop protection strategies. Further, we also have a project dealing with basically it's satellite imagery, satellites as a service, we call it also like that, where through actually changes in the canopy system, we can see the attack of pests and diseases. And is it a mild pest attack or is it a high risk of a pest attack? And then also to provide solutions. And it's actually the knowledge database that is actually designed with farmers and for farmers. It's based on extensive scientific literature, several research databases that we use as researchers, but now it's cracked into a really user-friendly, readable form. And basically it's matchmaking between all these conditions when it comes to immunity, when it comes to DNA, when it comes to different levels of pest attack with the solutions. And this is the thing, it's about digital guidance for the farmers throughout the growing season. And then again, this guidance is designed to be in a green direction. And this is also the thing, how do we want to evolve as humans? Of course, environmentally friendly, and we also call it infinitely sustainable, because in this way, with all these fundamental levels, when it comes to diagnostics, we actually can track, okay, what is actually happening with immunity on an enzyme level, what is happening with pests on a DNA level, and then how can we actually see this from space, and how can we actually leverage this through the knowledge database to provide solutions to farmers. So it's basically algorithm matchmaking and cost-benefit analysis. Something more about plant immunity tracker. So this is actually how it looks like, and I already called it pregnancy test for plants. And for example, if immunity is active, just like plants have immunity, just like humans do. And when immunity is active, in most cases, action is further not needed. The plant can handle the attack. And that's especially when we talk about mild pest infestation. If plant immunity is not active, action is required. So plant is not capable to defend them. Plants are not capable to defend themselves, and then we further guide farmers on the next steps via the app on when to spray, what to spray, and how to protect crops. And that's of course based on why, and this is pests and diseases, through the knowledge database. This is actually how it looks like when it comes to the field application. What farmers need to do is to collect the leaves from the field, to mash these leaves, apply the liquid from the leaves on the test paper, scan the response area using the app, and then they get like immunity is active or immunity is not active. Then this is a fast response because they get results in 3 minutes. Then this is how they assess immunity level, which actually reveals the crop condition is actually are their plants capable to defend themselves or not, and then further they get advice through the knowledge database on when to use, what to use, and how much. Further, when it comes to satellites imagery, what actually is all about is a pest risk map plus the knowledge database, providing solutions. So this pest risk levels, as I already said, like mild or high, or the green area where there is no pest infestations. This can be done through satellites or drones. What we are further leveraging is actually to use satellites even more, because what we could see is that although there's a lot of talk about drones in farming, it's not actually that they got so much adoption from farmers. It's usually like, will that get stuck in the branches? Who's gonna operate the drone? How long it can fly? What if something happens? And it's the hardware story. So it's pretty much what we actually are right now leveraging more through satellites. So it's basically mapping what's happening where and actually what to do about it. Now, how to multiply all these, like all these things can be separate, and all these things can be actually like a huge new industrial platform for the new crop protection of the future. Using drones or satellites to do symptom observation, plus also symptom observation through the symptom database. And there we can actually see the pest potential. Further, actually to do DNA testing using robotics, not like actually using right now lab tests, what's actually possible now. And then to leverage that through the DNA database to see this actually pest presence and to see who is who and to map out. Pest risk map via the app, and it is pretty much the status of a problem and pest risk levels, mild or high, or maybe in green area there is no pest attack. And then what is the solution to all these different regions? And this is actually how this pest risk map, like through green, orange, and red, looks like in this applied way. Basically, what farmers will get is, okay, notification. They can further click on this red area, and then they can see, okay, this is actually a problem, and this is the solution. So previously, they would need to spray with way higher actually dosages, but this is the application mix for only this red area. So it's not only precision spraying, but it's also through the knowledge database on how to go in this greener direction. And this knowledge database is pretty much, it's a proprietary technology of Fauna's. It's also made on experimental work, so it's 10 to 15 years of laboratory-based also research and available scientific literature and combination of several research databases plus the best agricultural practices, and then further EU regulation strategies and what I have already mentioned. So that's everything, the knowledge database. And we use diverse technologies to leverage that knowledge, to pull it up and to put it into the field. So it's pretty much how farmers can choose the crop, mark their field, choose production practice, and choose one of the supporting tools. Will this be immunity, DNA, or satellites, or all three, and be further guided on when, what, why, and how to protect their crops. And this is actually who is behind these solutions. This is the core team of Fauna Smart Technologies. And I'm already here today with you. And my Chief Operations Officer is Tatjana, who has been working in Syngenta for so many years, and then did executive MBA. Dr. Nemanja, who did his PhD and further work at the Danish Technical University, responsible for these combinations and interface between biology and technology. And Dr. Gorka, who is also a senior scientist, worked at the Danish Technical University for so many years, and is actually the brain behind how to use different satellite missions to go deeper into the ecosystems to exactly see the borders of these green, orange, or red areas. So we are all senior scientists and technologists working towards the agroecosystems of the future and to make them in line with nature, because there's so much right now. We live in an era where technologically and scientifically almost anything is possible, but it's more like how to make it farmer friendly and to be cost benefit. And these are working board members and advisors. Dr. Harry Teicher, from previously study director of European Innovation Center FMC, Lubos Greppel from he was a VP in Syngenta, Professor Dr. Konstantin, who is actually the brain behind the lab on paper technology, Dr. Sevasti, plant immunity brain from Wageningen right now. She's part-time with us. And data and system science, Professor Aslak from Danish Southern University, Tegan, who is a Nordic talent ambassador and worked in Silicon Valley when it comes to business, Dr. Lake. She is in the Ministry of Agriculture, Science and Technology in Denmark, and Pavle, our bioinformatics brain. What we believe is that it's really time to build products based on long-term academic research. And that's really different, like when leveraging this type of knowledge to make products and services. And this is also what I believe, that next generation of scientists, it will be, yes, fundamental science, which is really important. And in this COVID era, we can see how much fundamental science is important, but also that the next generation scientists should be the ones designing experiments for products and services. And this is what I call entrepreneurial scientists, because it's a very different approach when we just want to know mechanisms, which is already hard enough, and to publish papers. It's a very different experimental design when we want to do that. And it's a very different experimental design when we want to build products and services. And this is where we want to really give this lead for more scientists to step out and make this complex system innovation simple to understand and easy to use for our end users, farmers, agricultural advisors, technicians, and R&D leaders. Because, for example, what we can see is that big agrochemical industries that also now need to transition their 80%, for example, And that's like the best case scenario, because it's usually 90% of their chemical pesticides R&D to something new. And then that's like 30,000 people now need to switch to something new. It's a chaos for them as well. So this is where we want to say yes, but we now hold enzymatic response of a plant to different pests and diseases, to your different biological products. So why not now to make plant immunoboosters to actually boost immunity of a plant on a different threshold levels based on a pest level that is present. And now we do have sensors, we do have available technologies to know this. So this is actually, there's so many ways how we can actually help also industry transitioning, because now the whole world is transitioning. So how to angle your products and services to help so many stakeholders. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to present the vision of agro-ecosystems of the future and some of our shining star portfolio projects. And I'm looking forward to Q&A. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Doctor. It was really insightful presentation.
Thank you.
Like, you know, what I love about companies working in Europe is that they are always actually working on the synergy of digital technology and biotechnology, unlike US, where you are having totally different bio-ag ecosystem and totally different digital ag ecosystem, and country like India, where we hardly have bio-ag, but all digital ag. So I think you are doing exactly right thing by combination of two very, I'll say that, important technologies. My first question would be like, you know, how easy it would be for the small and marginal farmers, especially in developing world, to adopt the technologies you're talking about, because wherever the satellite comes in play, the resolution of the image has become a real challenge. How do you see that, like, you know, breaking the glass ceiling of getting these technologies for small and marginal farmers who are having, say, half a hectare or 0.3 hectares of land holding?
Yeah, that's a good question. But satellite imagery is becoming more and more accessible, and basically there's right now, like what we have tested is like 3 different satellite missions that are open source. So this is actually like where one of my team members, Gorka, has this really hyper specialized knowledge on how to actually use and merge these different satellite data in order to get deeper into the ecosystem, and then to communicate with us when it comes to pest and disease levels of attack. So I think like once we will actually test some higher imagery data to see like how deeper can we go and how to increase the level of predictability and to see actually way better pest risks attack. But I think, yeah, when it comes to that accessibility to small farmers, I think as long as we have open source data where we don't need to actually pay for a commercial data like Planet or Copernicus, then actually it is pretty much accessible. But what we will further test is also actually we will buy data for Planet and Copernicus to make all these experiments and compare actually how different will be with the now commercial data from Planet and Copernicus. But when it comes to open source, that's going to be accessible, and that is actually the thing to be accessible for smaller farmers.
And now next question, like, you know, how open you are to travel to these type of countries, and what are the business model you are looking at in working in developing countries of Africa and Asia?
Yeah, right now we are testing everything in Europe. But yes, the thing is to be accessible everywhere, especially when it comes to satellite projects, because that's just really the software story. So yeah, it is actually somewhere like along our business line to actually go further to India and also to Africa. Yeah.
So all the audience from Africa and Asia, please reach out to Delana. She can work with you. She's open to explore these markets. So like, I wish more partnership. Definitely, I'll be writing you for one of those partnerships. My next question would be like, how difficult it is to like, I'll say that detect the immunity, because the type of pest which we see in different type of crops, right, is so wide, right? Actually, like, I'm farmer, I work on ground, and at least I've dealt with 30 different crops. And I've encountered maybe like more than a few hundreds of different type of pests, right? All behaving very differently at different stages. How easy or how difficult it would be like to standardize this immunity testing to cover multiple pests with one testing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, this is actually what we are right now. Like we started with tomatoes. This is actually when it comes to but what we can see that like we can actually have enzymes that the ones that we are right now like putting on a paper, printing on a lab on paper, that they actually cover 60% of a response. And then that comes to tomatoes, that also comes to peppers, that also comes to melons, that also comes to strawberries. So I think like those are kind of we go for these high value crops because this is also when it comes to also greenhouse, it's pretty much in greenhouses where there's a lot of when it comes to economy, farmers' economy, they spend a lot on biopesticides, and also actually when it comes to adoption of all these technologies, when it comes to immunity, that's pretty much greenhouse. But yes, a good question. For example, we targeted those enzymes that cover 60% of response, and then further actually in product development, we will leverage some others as well. Yeah.
No, that's very interesting because I believe like if you're working on tomatoes, at least like 35 to 40% of horticulture crops are taken care of because they have very similar traits. So like from plums to apples, I think the same enzymes they work. So maybe it's time to test more crops and
Yes.
And we are having some of the fellow speaker who are working on protected farming, and they're experts, including the next speaker who happens to be working on a mission to like grow food in NASA space station. So I hope your technology can be used there as well. And so now coming to the last question, it's very interesting part which I saw in your presentation was that you are having a group of scientists with a very diverse background. How critical or how difficult? There are two questions: critical and difficult is to manage such a talent pool, because I've seen scientists always moving in different directions.
How challenging it is? You mean like to communicate with diverse or to manage, or like
about because scientists, they have so many strong views about their ideas, right? And when we are trying to find the balance, right, because digital guy will be talking something totally different than a bio guy, right? Yeah. One believes that bio can save the world as you, and the person like me who is in digital technology says that digital is going to save the world for you. How difficult and challenging it is to manage this type of talent pool which are having very different view for the same problem?
Because actually at the end of the day we only say how is that going to be for our farmer? It's the farmer. So our focus is the farmer, and this is where we kind of okay, then actually this is where I can also have some ideas, right? I mean, we all do. I think that's with all creatives. But then it's like, how is that going to be user-friendly? And will this really help our farmer? And then we also have a lot of farmers that because this is the thing, we were always working in direct collaboration. And then we also reach out to a farmer, hey, if this is, so it's the farmer. So we need to really crack the code for the farmer. And that's where actually then, I can also have that. Yeah, exactly. I can really have that. And that was a good question. Yes. But at the end of the day, like, okay, now we need to stop. This is exactly, for the farmer. So.
No, that's great, right? Because the passion you are having to help farmers is infectious. Wish you all the best. And I can see that you're already doing great work. Continue doing that great work. And I believe world would be a better place because of intervention of people like you. Thanks a lot for participating in this roundtable. It's our pleasure.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
So now we are having a next speaker. And as I was mentioning, we are having someone who is extremely talented scientist, Dr. KrishnaKumar Sugumaran. He is Associate Research Scientist with the Desert Agriculture and Ecosystem Programs in Environment and Life Science Research Center at the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research. He obtained his PhD from the University of Madras, India, in biotechnology, and his research group is focused on enhancement of agriculture produce and quality in Kuwait's environment using innovative research ideas and strategies in protected agriculture. The research specialization is on greenhouse management and environmental control, with a special focus on application of LED lighting systems for optimized plant growth, hydroponics, and soilless cultivation in protected agriculture. Floor is to you, Dr. KrishnaKumar.
Thank you. A very good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever it is. I'm extremely sorry. Probably I missed out on the time schedule. Probably because there was a difference between the time zone, and I'm extremely sorry for that I joined late.
No, you're right on time, sir. You're right on time.
And yeah, okay. So can I share?
Please share your presentation, sir. Yeah.
Yes. Are you able to see my?
Yes, we can see your presentation, sir.
Yes.
If you can make it full screen, yes, that's perfect. Perfect. Okay. All good.
So I'll be talking on two different topics. One would be on the first part of the presentation would be concentrating on greenhouse farming, and the second one would be on plant factory systems. Which we deal as an innovative technology. And I'll be sharing my experiences of research in both these sectors. As Deepak rightly mentioned, I work for the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, the largest research organization in Kuwait, and which is owned by the government. And I work for the Desert Agriculture and Ecosystems Program as an associate research scientist. And my group is focused on protected agriculture. So this is I just wanted to give you a gist of my of what we do at the Desert Agriculture and Ecosystems Program. And our group is the optimized protected agriculture, which you see at the top. So we deal with different things like greenhouse structure, the cladding material, cooling systems, LED lighting, growth systems, high density modular production systems, cultivar evaluation, crop nutrition, and water use efficiency. We have other groups also who work on terrestrial biodiversity, then open field agriculture, which deal with forages and animal production like poultry, sheep. And also we have optimized horticulture and landscape practices for Kuwait's urban settings. So the ultimate aim of all these groups is to produce food and feed by adopting international best practices of desert agriculture. And we want to serve better, and we are focusing now totally on food security. We all know when you talk about GCC by numbers, it's very, very low productivity agriculture today. The only thing that we have over here is our oil reserves, which constitutes 40%, and the total contribution to the GDP of the agriculture is just 1 to 2%. And we have a very low, very great disadvantage that there's only less than 1% of fresh groundwater, and 85% of the food is being imported, and US dollars 100 billion is being spent on water infrastructure alone, as per 2016's data. And most of the water that we spent, greater than 77% of water is used for agriculture. So when we talk about why protected agriculture for vegetable production, it plays a very important role in the field of vertical expansion, and it provides a very optimal, ideal environment also for the plants. You also have increased water productivity, high fertilizer use efficiency, increased yield per unit area, and we have a very high value crop diversity and less pesticide use, so that the food that the people eat is of very nutritious, and it's not harmful or deleterious to the human health. And we also talk about reduced risk of biotic and abiotic stresses. Just to show you a picture of an example of a Qatar pilot seawater greenhouse system, which includes, it's an integrated production system. This is an example of a system which is implemented in GCC in Qatar, where they use solar energy for desalinating the water, and you have for powering the greenhouses. And it's an integrated system where you grow crops, you grow algae, you grow seafood, you grow vegetables. This is an example of one of a pilot greenhouse system, which is serves as a model for the other GCC countries in this region. And talking about research in protected agriculture, this is a picture of the Estidama Research Center in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, wherein you can see it's a huge complex wherein you have different types of greenhouse structures being tested with different technologies inside greenhouse systems. Talking about Kuwait, the company that the country where I reside and work, you have on the right side, what the total area is around 17,800 square kilometers. It's a very small country, and the only resource that we have in Kuwait is oil and nothing else. And you must be also aware that the highest ranked currency in the world for at least for the last decade is the Kuwaiti dinar, which approximately translates to around 1 Kuwaiti dinar translates to 3.5 USD or 245 Indian rupees as of for now today's value. We have lots of challenges in Kuwait. Our harsh climate today, the temperature is 50 degrees Celsius. You won't even imagine. And we touched 63 degrees Celsius during 2021 in peak of June. So you must have imagined, we have extreme temperatures, very strong dry winds. Today, the temperature is, as I mentioned, 50 degrees Celsius, and humidity is just 8% of humidity. So you must understand why it's so difficult for us at these environmental conditions to grow crops. And we are trying to develop technologies or conditions where we overcome these environmental challenges and try to grow crops and feed the nation and develop food security in this nation. We also have frequent dust and sandstorms, extremely high evapotranspiration rates. The soil is a sandy variable hardpan, very low water retention content capacity, and low organic matter and high leaching capacity. The groundwater over here is completely highly saline, and also Kuwait has the largest desalination plant in the world. We have the largest desalination plant in the world, and all the water that we use here is we use only desalinated water. Literally, we don't have any fresh groundwater here which can be used. Why is agriculture important for Kuwait? As I mentioned, food security. So we want partial self-sufficiency, and obviously in any nation, people will like their own local produce. We have a lot of government support here, and protected agriculture is the only viable option and a priority to achieve these goals of food security. I'm just showing you a couple of pictures of how the greenhouse structures over here. We have low-tech, mid-tech, and high-tech structures. When you talk about low-tech structures, they're just plastic sheet covered tunnels, which have they don't even have cooling pads. they use coconut coir as the cooling pads, maybe because the farming community over here is not able to, not able to invest in such technologies. Then you have another set of group which also concentrates on mid-tech farming, wherein they have, a little bit, the structure is made of polycarbonate, and you also have cooling pads, and it's mostly evaporative fan and pad cooling systems, and they use it's soil or soilless. You use container farming, or they directly put it in the soil. And we also have a very, very meager amount of farmers who have high-tech farming, wherein they use greenhouse with very high structures. And these pictures will show you how, from the previous slide to this slide, how the farming is being done. You use soilless substrates, and the technologies have been implemented stage by stage over here. Talking about, this is just, I'm showing you a picture of the polyethylene tunnel over here, which is just covered by polyethylene sheets. And they use conventional soil-based system and drip irrigation, and you have fan and pad evaporative cooling systems over here. The main greenhouse crops that we grow over here are tomatoes, cucumbers, capsicum, beans, eggplant, lettuce, and strawberry. These are the main crops. You also have certain other crops being grown, but not to a very major extent. Why protected environmental agriculture is important for Kuwait is excessive use of resources in protected environment agriculture. The soil degradation is rapid. We totally rely on imported inputs. Anything that I need to build a protected environmental agricultural system, for a greenhouse or whatever it is, anything has to be only imported. Even our soilless media like peat moss or potting soil, everything is being imported. Nothing is being produced inside Kuwait. And most of the time, the product quality is not consistent, and profitability for the farmer is very, very low. And so that is why we see protected environment agriculture as an important priority in Kuwait. So we have taken developmental options as the research institute to develop our agricultural sector in this country. We adopt improved greenhouse structures. We adopt novel technologies like organic, soilless production, zero pesticide use, which can be achieved only in protected structures like greenhouses or plant factory systems. Novel technologies might be right word for Kuwait, but I truly believe that these will be, maybe these technologies may have been implemented at least 5 or 10 years before itself in other countries like Europe or in other Western countries. We adopt resource conversion technologies like soil and water. We improve farm management and skill levels of the labor force, because most of the laborers that work here are uneducated Indians or Bangladeshis or Egyptians who work at a very, very meager salary over here. So their skill levels are also very low, and the knowledge about agriculture is also very low. So we try to improve by educating these people on various technologies that we try to implement, and we give training programs so that they implement those in the farms that they're working. We also are into adapting post-harvest handling technologies for the food crops produced over here. So these are some example pictures of how we have adopted certain technologies. Instead of using soil-based technologies, we have tried soilless medium, which contains soilless medium in the sense it's a ratio of peat moss, perlite, compost, and coir pith, wherein we use containers so that these medium can be reused crop after crop, and we use a very, very regulated irrigation system, and we follow strict good agricultural practices so that the use of pesticides is completely removed from these production facilities. These are just crops of, the previous slide, tomatoes being grown and lettuce, bell peppers, cucumbers, cauliflowers, and other leafy vegetables. This is one technology which we developed. It's a grow bag type of structure wherein we have developed and utilized it for the farmer so that they can completely reduce the use of pesticide, conserve the soil, and the medium can be repeatedly used again and again, and also for increased water use efficiency. So this example is in a farm wherein we have implemented, and you can see a cucumber crop growing over here. As I mentioned earlier, soilless culture is basically a combination of peat moss, perlite, and compost along with coir pith at a defined ratio, which we use in these container type of things, different types, which I'll be talking over later. A better control over plant growth, it prevents land degradation, it's environmental friendly, and improved product quality of the crops that you crop material that you receive after the harvest. Our research priorities is improvements in structure, improvements in cooling efficiency, greenhouse automation, integrated production and protection systems. These are the main research priorities of my group when considering when we consider greenhouse agriculture. Of late, we have come out with a project which has been just started, wherein we are combining cooling and high-grade energy production in a solar-powered greenhouse, wherein the roof material is completely covered, has solar panels, and sunlight is very much available to us most of the year. And so we are trying to get into this particular project so that we can minimize on electricity use and try to also use solar energy for desalination of water, seawater, and use that particular water as a freshwater source for irrigating our plants. This is what, using seawater to cool and humidify the air in the greenhouse, because as I mentioned, probably the water usage is, we have water usage in two sectors. One is to cool the greenhouse. When you have a fan and pad evaporative cooling system, you need water to run along the pads, evaporative cooling pads. So that is where one way where the water is used, and the second way is for irrigation purposes. So using seawater to cool and humidify the air in the greenhouse, and sunlight to distill fresh water from seawater to enable year-round cultivation that would otherwise be difficult to grow in hot, arid regions like Kuwait. Greenhouses, it's the silver bullet for us because we can control all the physical and biological factors, better monitoring of the physical and biological components of the agriculture ecosystem. We have very less sensitivity to climate and biological hazards, immaterial of whether it rains or whether the sun shines or whether the temperature is high, low. And also we have frequent dust storms. So all these biological hazards can be controlled because you have, climate hazards can be controlled because you grow them inside. And also we have huge amount of insect pest nuisance, particularly from whitefly, Tuta absoluta. So all these can be controlled when you grow them in very contained facilities inside the greenhouse. And they require very lower inputs used like water, fertilizer, even compared the pesticides, everything. And you have high-tech solutions. So we try to maximize the synergies. And that is why we mentioned greenhouses is a silver bullet, at least for us. This is an example of the research greenhouse that we have at our field station over here in Kuwait. It's a model station that we have constructed 4 years back, and this was constructed in collaboration with Wageningen University in the Netherlands. It's a 1,000 square square meter greenhouse, which is divided into 3 chambers, and it has 3 levels of coverings. You have one covering, it's completely a glass greenhouse, and on the top you can see something where my pointer is showing. Deepak, are you able to see where I'm showing now?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Yeah, so the top one is the screen which is able to protect the outer layer of the greenhouse structure. So when you have too much sun or when you have a dust coming, we pull over these screens and they automatically move on to close completely. And on the left side, you can see like panels which are here. These panels are nothing but they are automated dust. Whenever they see dust blowing at a particular speed or something, they automatically shut down so that we prevent the clogging of the evaporative cooling pads. The other view, so the closed, these are the 6 pads that are present on the other side, and the blue roof is where we have the control room, which has a climate control station, a weather station also installed in it. This is how, so 2 fans for 1 chamber, the 2nd chamber and the 3rd chamber. So this is how the greenhouse is separated. We have 3 chambers. Another view of the greenhouse to give you a better thing of, and you see everything surrounding the greenhouse is just soil, desert, sandy soil. This is what I was talking about. These screens are used, they move up and down as per our settings that we do it automatically based on the dust when it flows. So it shuts down. When the dust is not there, it opens up. So to protect the evaporative cooling pads from dust clogging or whatever it is. And we have a completely automated fertigation system from Priva, wherein you add the nutrients, and you have a computer control system wherein you just design your program, and you have a thing to correct the pH. You have an acid container also. So everything is automated, and you're able to just give exactly what nutrition the plant wants in a defined proportion at the right time. This is the interior view of the 1st chamber, which is which has moving benches. So it has a capacity to hold around 3,000 potted plants inside these particular. This is around 300 square meters that I'm talking about. And as I said, we also have inside, we have 2 levels of screening. The top one is to completely shut down the light, and the bottom one is to, have little bit of light intensity at least following in when the sun is not that too much hot or whatever it is. So we have 3 levels of screening systems to control our temperature and the amount of sun coming into the system. And it's also equipped with fans for circulating the air inside. This is an example of a crop that we try. As I said, I mentioned around like 3,000 potted plants can be placed inside. So usually this particular chamber, we use it to grow leafy vegetables or plants like strawberry. Here, this picture shows me trying different types of lettuce varieties and also other varieties like cauliflower, red cabbage, broccoli, other varieties which we try inside this particular chamber. And this is a picture of how, and you can see each pot has a small spaghetti type irrigation system to deliver the fertigation at the right time, which is being automatically controlled by our fertigation system. Another view of the same thing. So these benches can be moved. So 3 benches, and you can walk through in to find out if you have any difficulties. This is the strawberry. Then you have lettuce varieties. Then you have kale. Then you have some cauliflower also on the side, and also cabbage varieties. The middle chamber and the last chamber also, they are like this. So this is we use for higher plants like tomatoes, eggplant, pepper, cucumbers, and other varieties. okra and whatever we try. So this contains, approximately we have 5 lines. So 500 potted plants can be placed in an area of 300 square meters. So, and each plant can be fertigated using this spaghetti type irrigation, which is again controlled by our fertigation system. And you have a climate control inside sensors to monitor your humidity, temperature, to switch on the fan, to switch off the fan, to switch on the cooling system based on the temperature that is being sensed inside the greenhouse. An example of a tomato crop being grown, this is just maybe 10 to 15 days after transplanting a month-old seedlings of tomatoes. And this is the flowering stage of tomatoes and fruiting stage of tomatoes. And we try to use yellow sticky pads to minimize, the amount of white fly or something, even though they try to enter sometimes due to unavoidable reasons. And we also use grow box. The previous slide, you can see these were using pots. These are 5-gallon pots that we use. And once the harvest is done, you can reuse the substrate again and again. So we also use grow box. So we use these plastic containers lined with a sheet of a mesh-like structure, and you have 4 plants coming out from each. These are the different types of okra that we did over here inside our greenhouse. Red okra, the normal okra, or the star okra, as we say, and also different kinds of bell pepper that we try to use, that we have already tested and come out with a good production we were able to produce at least to our maximum, at least 20 to 22 kilograms per square meter of the greenhouse. We also tried selected exotic tomato cultivars for greenhouse cultivation in Kuwait. Why am I talking about exotic cultivars in the sense is, and first I want to mention, I'm grateful to one institute in India, which is Sri Ravi Shankar's Art of Living University, which is available in Bangalore, where they gave me these heirloom seeds of different tomato varieties, because we don't want to go to the seed company again to buy seeds. Our goal was you produce everything so that you don't need to rely on imported products. And these were also, you can take out the seeds from the harvest and again use them for your next crop. And tomatoes, a normal tomato over here a kilogram would cost approximately, probably, I would say maybe $50. But when you talk about some exotic varieties like yellow pear or cherry tomatoes or blueberries, these tomatoes require the same amount of time, the same amount of energy, the same amount of inputs, everything. But when you talk about the production economic output, normal tomato also takes the same thing, same inputs, everything. Expenditure is the same. Your input cost, everything is the same. But when you sell it, you're able to sell it, as I mentioned, maybe probably only $50 per kilo. But when you talk about these varieties of yellow pear or cherry tomatoes or blueberries, they fetch approximately around, I would say in Kuwait, at least $20 per kilo. So that is way far, nearly 40 times your income is being increased. So that is why we were trying to test selected exotic tomato cultivars and give this technology to the farmers here. And the consumption rate of these varieties of tomatoes is very, very huge in Kuwait. The picture of different types of tomatoes that we used over here, like striped Roman, this would particularly resemble like an apple. Then you talk about cherry tomatoes, blueberries, yellow pear, or Mount Vesuvius, different varieties of tomatoes that we have been trying over there. Examples of highly efficient soil production systems: we used closed insulated pallet system, hydroponics, NFT or nutrient film technique, and aeroponics, then grow bag culture, grow box culture, Vertigrow, and plant factory. These are the technologies that we have developed over here and we have implemented in farms in Kuwait. This is cherry tomatoes being grown in closed insulated pallet systems. This is like a box wherein you have, it's completely closed and you have the medium inside, and from that you have the plant growing, and the nutrition is being fed at regular intervals through designed pipelines and structures. Then you also have an example of cucumber grown on closed insulated pallet systems. Then we talk about ornamentals also being grown in closed insulated pallet systems because there is a huge demand for ornamental crops, and 95% of the ornamental crops are being imported from Holland, and they cost a huge amount of money. So we thought, instead of investing and giving gain for the companies where we import from, why don't the local farmer produce these and they get the benefit out of growing such ornamental plants? This everybody must be knowing. This is a gutter system wherein you have a NFT system. Then we also used an A-shaped aerophonic system for growing dianthus. Aeroponics, again, it's the structure takes a little bit huger space, but the outcome is also very good. So you have the root inside and you just have a mist of air spraying inside the fertigation which is required for the plant system. Grow bag technique, which I told you, it's just a bag which is covered totally on both ends, sealed on both ends, and it contains the medium inside, the soilless substrate, and you have specific drips just giving fertilizers exactly at the point where the plant grows. And once the plant is harvested and you throw out the plant biomass, you're able to reuse this medium again and again for at least 10 harvests continuously without loss in the efficiency of the soil substrate that is being used. This is the grow box technique, wherein it is a small plastic box usually which we get, which is used to supply milk or something. We use such type of boxes. We covered it along totally in a mesh, and in the top it's covered using a thermocol sheet, and you fill in the medium and you're able to grow crops inside. Again, this advantage, again, the soil substrate can be reused again and again, so that the farmer has to invest less on the input costs for the subsequent crops. A tomato Yusra is one local variety which is being grown, and this was grown on a grow box. Why I put this picture is, usually the tomatoes that are grown here, they have lots of they even when they grow in the crop, they rot down, they fall, they're infested with pests and other things. But we found out that when we used grow box technique, the tomato quality was really very, very good compared to conventional farming methods. Using, again, ornamentals being grown using hydroponics and aeroponics. Then we talk about medium hydroponic culture systems, wherein we have substrates being used. So I told you, SIPs, container type, grow bag, grow box, and also Vertigrow systems. We also use Vertigrow systems for strawberry cultivation mainly. Normally, if you have just one pot over here, maximum you would be able to grow maybe one plant. But at the same time, when you use such type of Vertigrow systems, you are able to grow at least 30 to 40 times this using the same space. Wherein you grow one plant, you're able to grow 40 plants using the same space. That was the advantage that we tried to use this system when growing for strawberries over here. Plant factories, this is just a model picture which I took it out from the internet. I will show you the plant factory that we have later. So plant factory is nothing but vertical farming systems using hydroponics, and it is completely grown in a closed space with very high hygienic protocols. We have also been trying.
Krishna, we'll have to conclude because just a couple of minutes, if you can summarize and conclude, because we are shooting a little bit on time.
Okay. Let me see. This is another example of using cocoa slabs in the greenhouse. And just to give you a quick idea of what we are doing over here, we call our plant factory system as the modular agricultural production system. It is a collaborative initiative with the Controlled Environmental System Research Facility at the University of Guelph in Canada, wherein we are using space as a technology driver, and we are part of the team collaborating with NASA to grow plants at the International Space Research Station for the project of life on extraterrestrial space. This is the facility that is available at CESRF, where we have hyperbolic chambers, hyperbaric chambers, wherein you mimic the environment at space, and we are trying to grow plants over here. Okay, this is the maps, that the prototype that we have over here in Kuwait. The general objectives is to have increased secondary metabolites thing using customized light recipes and customized nutrition recipes. This is the unit. It's just a 2 by 3 meter. It's space, and it is a 3-level, wherein we have the state-of-the-art lighting, wherein I have 9 light qualities, 9 light wavelengths, and I can control it automatically using an Argus control system. And it is using an NFT system, a recycling NFT system. And as a total, I'm able to grow around 152 plants in a space of 2 by 3 space meters. This was when our project was projected at the NASA meeting by the former Canadian Prime Minister at the NASA summit in Florida. We are trying for a pilot scale now, like customizing same 30 units of the same unit, and construction is in the process. So this is the lab that I work on in Kuwait, a real-time picture wherein you can see the unit. Then after the units have been transplanted, then at full growth, due to time, I'm just rushing on. I just thought I'll just explain certain research work that we have been doing. So these is the close-up view of the 3 different levels that we use. And I'm just giving an example of one experiment wherein we tried white light, red light, and blue light as a sole source of lighting for the same crop that we were trying to do. And it is also having lots of sensors, and it is completely automatically controlled. So you germinate the seeds in rockwool cubes. After 4 days of germination, you transplant them into the gutters, and this is how it looks. So it's completely soilless. And blue light, you can see how the plant looks. You can see complete pigmentation, red being followed. Red light, you can see the plant is completely green. See everything over here. This is white light. You can see a mix of both blue, red and green in the leaves. See, everything is the same for the 3 levels, except only we change the light quality. And you can see how much of difference is there in the plant growth. This picture clearly shows you the final crop. When I use only blue light, it is completely red. When I use only red light, it is completely green. And when I use white light, it has a mixture of both and both. So you're able to completely get what you want in the plant using light and using nutrient. We were able to do. We also tried experiments with different photo periods, different types of lighting, whether you give 24 hours lighting or it's 16/8. And we also tried how the root growth was. This is an example of strawberry that we grew in our facility. And the final thing, we also do certain changes in gene expression, also how light thing. And our paper, inshallah, it's going to be published in Nature in a couple of weeks. We have received the final thing of this particular work that we did. We checked how the genes are being expressed in different light treatments, so that we will be able to understand what biological process is changing in the plant due to the different light treatment. So our goal was to achieve higher quality plants using very minimal amount of resources and using light management and nutrient management. This was a picture that is recently taken during this COVID outbreak. We were not able to grow to the lab. We just planted some things and automatically it came out, and this was how we tried all different varieties of leafy crops, and this was how it looked when I went back to the lab after maybe 1 month or so after sowing the seed and coming back. So it's possible. So with this modular agricultural production systems and greenhouse also, we can create wonders in agriculture and give benefit for the farming community, and also provide very good research insights for the community and researchers who are working on this technology. And it still requires research and fine-tuning. I'm thankful to my whole team at Kisar for working along with me. And these are the people who worked along with us, who work along with my team. And this is the group. And in the center, you can see Professor Mike Dixon from the University of Guelph. And there's Mike Stasiak also. This is our team in Kisar, who work with me for the plant protection group. That's it. Any questions? I'm ready to take, and probably I had to rush through. Sorry for that to all audience, all the panel guest speakers, and to Deepak.
No, Krishna, it was very interesting. Thanks a lot for a very insightful presentation.
Yeah, anytime anybody wants, since I rushed through this, anytime, as a researcher, we usually tend to explain more so that the listening audience tend to, get more information. So if anybody wants any questions regarding my research, or you want any protocols, feel free to email me or contact me on my mobile. You can contact me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Facebook also. And I would be very happy to share seeds. I would be able to share the protocols, the lessons learned from the experiments that we did.
Cool, awesome. So Krishna, I really appreciate openness, and as you mentioned, I knew we are having few researchers today. So that's why generally our sessions are of 20 minutes, right? This time for this last roundtable, we kept it for 30 minutes, but that was also not sufficient because I was mesmerized by what you were talking. I wanted to hear far more, but in typically online conferences, you don't want your fellow panelists to wait.
Exactly.
that's the reason. So thanks a lot, Krishna, and please everybody, you can see the coordinates of KrishnaKumar, and Dr. KrishnaKumar has been I'll say that very open to share all his contact details. So please reach out, and we look forward to adopt these technologies in developing countries in Asia and Africa as well going forward. Thanks a lot. So now we will move to our next session, and generally I act as a moderator, and I'm not a speaker. I generally just do my analyst briefing, 10-15 minutes of time across the complete roundtable. Today I've taken a liberty where actually I wanted to act like a speaker as well. And I've kept the session for me because I wanted to talk a very important subject, which all of us understand is called regenerative agriculture. Very recently, IPCC has released a report, which is actually, I'll say that, very, very alarming and distressing, because it is telling us that the writing is on the wall, and the way we are doing agriculture today might lead us to a scenario where we won't be having this beautiful earth inhabited by us being there to accommodate us. And this is where I'll be talking about a very important topic, which is regenerative agriculture and the impact of climate change on the same. So just give me a second and I'll share my screen and we take forward. So today, the topic of my intervention is regenerative agriculture. Why and how? So first, let us understand, why do we need a change? As per ex-US President Barack Obama, the climate change is not some far-off problem. It is happening here. It is happening now. Today, we have understood one thing, that the biggest risk which is being faced by human race is climate change. We are already seeing intense flooding, the frequency of natural disaster increasing with every passing decade, and very visible rise in the sea level. Forest fires, whether it is in North America or in Australia, makes headline every now and then. Today, there are far more cities without water than a decade ago. Both in developing and developed countries, whether we are talking about, again, Australia, South Africa, India, the scarcity of water is alarming. We are also seeing a profound wave of desertification, which is leading to loss of vegetation and hence various implications of reduction in vegetation. In a way, what we are doing is we are making our world slowly unlivable. On 12 December 2015, we had a very historical moment. As a human race, we took a step where the International Climate Agreement was approved in Paris. The UN Climate Change Conference in Paris, also known as COP21, it provides an opportunity to showcase efforts that countries, private sector, civil society together are making to combat climate change. The focus was to accelerate and scale up these actions. The Paris Agreement was long awaited. For very simple, it was a joint effort from many countries, and a commitment was made that all will adhere to this agreement with focus on limiting the increase in temperature of Earth to 2 degrees overall and 1.5 degree by end of the century. This was a watershed moment where the climate change was just not discussed among academicians, but was discussed to find the way forward to mitigate it. Whenever we talk about climate change, the land sector plays a very vital role because it connects climate, poverty, water, and food security. Typically, a land sector is defined as forested and agricultural land, and it is central to both climate change, its causes, and the way forward to mitigate the same. The increased ambition of international climate policy articulated in Paris Agreement's goal of holding the increase in global average temperature to below 2 degrees above the pre-industrial levels and pursuing effort to limit it to 1.5 degree by end of this century cannot be achieved until and unless we take care of one of the second biggest contributor to global greenhouse gas emission, which is agriculture, forestry, and other land use. Agriculture is a significant contributor to anthropogenic global warming, and reducing agriculture emissions, which is largely methane and nitrous oxides, will play a significant role in climate change mitigation. As you can see from the slide, close to 25% of global emission is because of AFOLU, that is agriculture, forestry, and other land use. The half of these derive from deforestation and forest degradation, and the other half come from agricultural activity. Especially in developing countries, agriculture, forestry, and other land use is the main source of emissions. We also need to understand there is an important difference between carbon dioxide, which is a stock pollutant, and methane, which is predominantly a flow pollutant. CO2 predominantly, or carbon dioxide predominantly, comes from industrial and energy activity, while methane is outcome of predominantly AFOLU activities. These dynamics means that conventional reporting of aggregated CO2 equivalent emission rate is highly ambiguous and does not straightforwardly reflect historical or anticipated contribution to the global temperature changes. As a result, the roles and responsibilities of different sectors emitting different gases are similarly obscured by the common means of communicating emission reduction scenario using just carbon dioxide equivalents. It is important that we shift in how we report agriculture greenhouse gas emission and think about their mitigation to better reflect the distinctive role of different greenhouse gases. Policymakers, stakeholders, and society at large should also be reminded that the role of agriculture in climate mitigation is a much broader topic than climate science alone can inform, including considerations of economic and technical feasibility, preferences of food supply and land use, and notions of fairness and justice. A more nuanced perspective on the impact of different emission will definitely aid these conversations. Decreasing agriculture greenhouse gas emission is important. Net food system carbon dioxide emission must be eliminated, as with all other carbon dioxide emissions. And reducing agriculture methane and nitrous oxide, while distinct from carbon dioxide, is climatically beneficial and must be encouraged. Atmospheric concentration of both methane and nitrous oxide resemble their worst case representative concentration pathways. To achieve the climate objective of the Paris Agreement, all sectors must make large-scale rapid effort to decrease their emissions of all gases. Insufficient agriculture emission reduction will compromise our ability to limit global warming. And the current trajectories for food system emissions threaten the target by themselves. According to IPCC, the land sector could provide between 20 to 60% of cumulative mitigation by 2030. As you can see, for a country like India, 13 of the top 15 most polluted cities, as per WHO, are in India. Our Prime Minister, who is a visionary, believes fighting climate change calls for innovation, cooperation, and willpower to make the changes that world needs. Just for a small example, a mid-sized city with population of 6 million needs 1,380 million metric tons of oxygen annually and fix 8,000 million metric tons of greenhouse gases. We all understand agriculture in current form is unviable. While agriculture is an essential human enterprise, delivering a multitude of familiar benefits including food and nutrition, clothing, shelter, livelihoods, and preservation of open space, despite our long history of being aware of the importance of the land and the connection between the way we grow our food, the quality of our soil, and the health of communities, conventional agriculture today is facing a wealth of issues surfacing from years of practices that degrade natural resources. Agriculture is the largest single user of fresh water, the leading source of water pollution and soil erosion, and an important contributor to greenhouse gas emissions and biodiversity decline. The nutrition value of many crops is in decline, and farming distress in form of farm bankruptcy, both in developed countries as well as developing countries, have increased manifold. We already are seeing huge challenges associated with soil loss and loss of soil health. Millions of metric tons of soil is lost through erosions. At the same time, the organic content percentage of our soil is depleting faster. Agriculture, which uses 70% of freshwater withdrawals globally, will ensure if we don't change, we won't have sufficient water to even drink. Forget about cultivation. The pollution caused by agriculture because of runoffs of chemicals being used in agriculture is another challenge. When the nutrients from fertilizer used in agriculture reaches the water bodies, leading to growth of algae, it creates another problem by creating dead zone, leading to death of both plants and animal lives, which depends on these water bodies. Similarly, the use of pesticides has reduced the insect population. This includes managed and wild pollinators, which might threaten our food security in case they go for extinction. Similarly, the monocropping has reduced the variety of crop which was cultivated few decades back. Today's food is having far less nutrition than in past. There is substantial drop in protein, calcium, phosphorus, iron, vitamin C in conventionally grown food product. In vegetable, the fall has been substantial to the range of between 5 to 40%, depending on the crop you're talking about. Irrespective of whether you are reading a newspaper in India or in America, the visible sign of farming distress are there. A country like USA provide subsidies as high as close to 45 to 50,000 US dollars. With increasing cost of cultivation, the farming in itself is becoming an economically unviable proposition for the farmer. Now, what we can do to solve some of these grave challenges faced by agriculture today? I'm a strong believer that regenerative agriculture is the way forward to save the planet. While the regenerative agriculture draws from millennia of traditional and indigenous agriculture practices from around the world, we are already seeing it gaining momentum as a potential solution to many of these challenges. We have seen between 2015 and 2020, an increasing range of farmers and organizations started advancing regenerative agriculture. Food company pioneers such as General Mill, Walmart have publicly committed to regenerate or help regenerate a total of nearly 55 million acres of farmland. Several medium to small size brands, service and advocacy organizations and investors have also entered the stage, each contributing to regenerative agriculture in their own way. Regenerative agriculture is a term which was first introduced to the world by Medard Gebel in 1979, and it was further developed after nearly a century in 1983 by Robert Rodel and in 1985 by Charles Francis. In a nutshell, regenerative agriculture is about farming in the way that draw carbon down from atmosphere into the soil beneath our feet. Regenerative agriculture can sequester carbon and build healthy soils that save precious water resources, increase soil biodiversity, improve crop yields, and bolster resilience to drought and extreme weather associated with climate change. Today we need in our farming community true superheroes to sacrifice short-term profit as their aim to achieve something bigger in long term. These heroes don't follow the crowd but swim upstream to understand the implication of their decisions. They are making decisions to improve their land today and tomorrow for future generations. Regenerative agriculture is having some core principles. The idea is to ensure that carbon remains below the soil and the overall health of soil improves, which in long run can enhance profitability of farmers. Among these core principles are minimizing soil disturbance by reducing tillage, using fewer inputs with potential impact on soil organisms, and to protect and strengthen the biodiversity in the entire agro ecosystem. It keeps living roots in the soil and tries to maintain cover on the soil year round. This ensures that soil health continues to improve and does not degrade. It also maximizes the biodiversity both above and below ground through practices like crop rotation and crop diversity. Last but not least, by ensuring the integration of livestock farming with agriculture, both overall viability of the farming activities as well as its impact on environment can be optimized by seasonal grazing, using waste from the livestock in farming. These activities ensure better environment sustainability and healthier. However, the adoption of regenerative agriculture is not at the pace at which it should have been. We need a paradigm shift to see results. A basic principle would be to make regenerative agriculture economically viable for all the stakeholders, especially farmers. We need a mindset shift from yield-focused farming and standalone practices to more focus on profits and holistic farm management. We need to acknowledge the key information gaps and need to reduce the barrier to transition. We need to understand that it is vital to create regenerative agriculture more remunerative by ensuring easy to tap global carbon markets, ensuring there is a knowledge among the consumers to be ready to incentivize agriculture which is done in a regenerative manner. We need to have an outcome-based approach because each farm is different and will need different set of practices and hence expertise. We need to ensure the agriculture value chain players chip in by providing holistic support to farmer, by providing them technical support, financial support, social support, and cultural support. Then only we'll be able to achieve long-term success. Finally, adoption of regenerative agriculture cannot be a straight line. We need to consider various parameters when we are trying to adopt it for different farmers. The one-size-fits-all approach does not work here. For a very simple reason, each farm is different when it comes to its climate, geography and location, soil types and current state of soil health, access to capital, farmer and advisors experience, the risk-taking capacity of farmer, access to expertise, farm operation types, size, initial degree of diversity, labor supply, availability of inputs, equipments, infrastructure, access to current and potential markets, and buyer specification and preferences. All of this make each farm a unique case, hence need to create a unique solution when it comes to adoption of regenerative agriculture. Regenerative agriculture is way forward if we really want to save the world. So now, once we have understood the importance of regenerative agriculture in saving the world, let me take you through a little bit about our organization HnyB and what we offer. So HnyB is a niche management consulting company which works on intersection of agriculture and technology. We try to unlock new opportunities for our customers by making their offering more compelling to their own consumers. We achieve this by working with different stakeholders delivering various type of services, include connecting them with better markets, providing them insights, helping them with agronomy advice, executing greenfield and brownfield projects, and creating platforms. We are structured to act as an extension of our customers' organization focused on achieving their own goals. We deliver farming as a service. For this, we are having two offerings. One is agriculture venture, where we work end-to-end with corporates, HNIs, community farming organization, helping them from initial business feasibility to the end goal of creating a profitable farming enterprise. The second type of service which we offer is market access support, where we collaborate with existing farmers and producers to help them identify better markets and prospects, connect them with prospects, partners, trade association, and act as a business development and marketing sales extension so that they are more profitable when they are selling their output. We have done projects across multiple countries, including India, Nepal, Ethiopia, Ghana, and Indonesia, where we have worked with corporate farmers, community farmers on project as simple as creating a business feasibility plan for a farm to fork company to going to the extensive execution of complete end-to-end farming venture from land identification, land conversion, actual farming, and to create a market linkage for the organization. We work on an ecosystem model approach where we are having access to various partners, including working with government, bank and financial institutions, developmental agencies and NGOs, commodity buyers, agri-input companies, cooperatives and farmer produce organizations, agtech companies, both digital as well as bio-ag companies, extension service providers, corporate farming companies, insurance agencies. We deploy different technologies, including traceability and blockchain, precision agriculture, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all this to make farming operations more productive and profitable for our consumers. Our reach is across Africa and Asia. We had opportunity of working in multiple countries in these continents. Our journey so far has been very exciting, with learning from close to 100,000 farmers, 1 million hectares of land holding, 50 plus crops, 40 plus agroclimatical zone across 16 countries and 3 continents. We have worked or have networked extensively with 40 plus ecosystem players and 300 plus global agriculture business CXOs. That, I would like to thank you for your patience hearing. Look forward to work with you in making world a better place, which is more food secure and more climate resilient. Thank you. So with that presentation, we move to our next awesome speaker. And we are having Shri Dushyant.K Tyagi ji. And Mr. Dushyant is the CEO at Farmgate Technologies Private Limited. He has 3 decades of experience in agribusiness spanning from agri inputs, post-harvest and post-harvest marketing, fresh food retail, food processing, agri-tech to startup mentoring. Shri Dushyant ji is credited with spearheading the transformative Prime Minister Office project, ENAM, that is Electronic National Agriculture Market, as strategic and implementation partner for more than 5 years. Today, ENAM is world's largest electronic spot agri trading platform with $16 billion plus turnover and 1.7 million plus farmer user base in 1,000 digitized and integrated agri produce markets, that's APMCs, across 18 states and 3 union territories in India. ENAM facilitates real-time electronic trading of more than 175 agri commodities across the country. I would also like to apologize, Dushyant ji, for this little bit of delay. I'm so sorry. And sir, you're on mute if you're speaking. I would request you to unmute yourself.
Thank you. No problem. Very, very insightful, the sessions. So, we have, very wonderful, sessions today about agronomy. Dr. Gardiner, he talked about, by and large, including yours, we are really worried about, sustainability. So, coming from a plant nutrient measure, Nagarjuna fertilizers, so you just see the crop response, nutrient response to crops. When we started off in 70s, 1 kg of nutrient applied used to give you 13 kg of food. Today, 1 kg of nutrient is giving you 1.4 kg of food. So there are issues, but since you have asked me to cover the market side of, the value chain, and there is no doubt that after this, Paris thing and after a lot of movement I see, we have to mend the ways and means the way we have dealt with nature so far, it is not going to sustain. And definitely, if you look at sustainability is not, the buzzword. It is the survival requirement for the planet now. So, and coming back to India, so our value chain is divided in 3 parts. One is pre-market, where most of the agronomic activities are confined. Then there is a middle part which is called market, and then value add and consumption. So problem here is, we are a smallholders country, all of us know, and wherever you go in agriculture, my general impression and understanding is this market is important. See, asking people to grow more, asking people to grow better is good. No harm in that. But before that, you have to really find out the market. So the new budge, or I would say, what we really need to follow. Number 1, we have to work across the value chain. We have to basically adopt. You just can't talk in isolation. So we have to bring the whole ecosystem in one place. And then we have to improvise each section of this value chain. For example, in India, we have a very, very strange, our input side is subsidized. And we are kind of a regulated market. Farmers are not even free for, to sell their goods wherever they want. So, and the whole economy is free market centric. So one hand, farmers are getting less. On the other hand, consumers are paying more. And we are ending up in a very, very sad scenario where the nutrient uptake or nutrient index of our populace is really we need to think about it. How many percentage of people in India they get the balanced nutrition. Figures are really amazing, surprising. So we are a carbohydrate country. We are living on carbohydrate. We don't know what proteins are, what fats are. So this anomaly is primarily because of the opaqueness, because consumer is paying more, producer is getting less. So as a nutrient company, I was not motivated to ask these guys to grow more, grow better, because there is no market. So market is a problem everywhere. That is why I say now we have to basically rejig our thinking. When we say we will integrate the entire ecosystem, we will integrate the entire value chain, fork has to come to farm. So with this, I will start because you have asked me to cover the market part of it. So I will start my presentation. So yeah. Share screen. Some glitch always. Yes. This one. Okay. Thank you. Bye. So we will try to quickly, basically, this is what we call now, market-driven agriculture. So perhaps, countries like ours, smallholders, this is very important. Consolidate market on one hand, and then basically grow on the other hand. So we will quickly, because Deepak, time is limited, I will run through it quickly. So we will try to understand, what is our belief at Nagarjuna of Farmgate. because we feel strongly, free market is important to the growth of, any sector. And in India, after 1991, we have almost reformed all the sectors except for the agriculture. So in true sense, agriculture, liberation started in 2014. So when I also, as an agriculture, background person, and I'm coming from a family background of, farmers only. So after almost 20, 25 years, I could see that we have started thinking on the issues, and we are trying to find out the solutions for those issues. So if you try to look at this value chain, you will find the most opaque place was market. Multi-layered, intermediation, a lot of value erosion between farmer and consumer. So that is why the current, policymakers, they have decided to reform this most opaque portion of the part of our value chain. So what we will do, quickly we will go through, what are the what we believe that what are the fundamentals of, free market ecosystem. Then we will try to understand, how agriculture markets are placed in India, and then obviously, what we have done so far, we will go through quickly. So in any free market ecosystem, we strongly believe that visibility is important for economic development. I mean, if you don't have visibility, if I'm a farmer, if I don't know how prices are moving, if I know who will buy, how, so I mean, this is not a very good scenario. So second thing, free market ecosystem is a must. You should encourage people. So I mean, a regulation in any case is fundamentally against the basics of a free economy. So value across the chain. I mean, right from production till post harvest. Value you really need to spread evenly. I mean, when we talk about how much part of retail value means how much consumer is paying going back to farmer, we are unable to measure that even today in most advanced geographies. So we have to develop systems where we basically develop the systems where the value is spread it across the value chain. It's not get confined either on the receiving end or on the initiation end. So this is our fundamental belief at Farmgate. We say visibility is the center to freedom, and yet under most recognized. Most under recognized thing is visibility in our Indian agriculture markets. Choice, our farmers or our buyers, they have very limited choice, because if you go out, I mean, you have very limited choice to buy agri inputs, to access advisory, and on the other hand, you also have a very limited choice and visibility where to basically sell and how to sell. And successful market economies, wherever they are, these are the two basic ingredients. These are the two basic elements. One in visibility, and second is choice. So this is our mission statement. We say agriculture production and markets are the backbone of all economies and are most profitable and predictable. Where the visibility and choices are made, the key features. So you have to increase, you have to give more choices to your consumers. You have to give more economy, more visibility to your consumers to basically grow any economy. So if we try to understand this valuation quickly, production side, we have to basically create a system, transparent system where affordable inputs are available, and on the demand side, or you say purchase side or market size, we really need to have more choices to sell. So production side, if you look at it quickly, we sellers and buyers and suppliers, they are existing there. Know-how is there. Purchase advisory is there. Better input quality is there. Justified prices, low cost credit, deliveries. All these are the elements, to establish a transparent and visible ecosystem on the production side. And same, you have to develop a system on the market side also. So in the second section, I will take you through quickly to the evolution of Indian agriculture markets, and then we will understand how Indian agriculture marketing is placed quickly, and then key trends of agriculture in India that perhaps with the perspective of marketing only, and then INA. So it's not moving. So how to share the screen? It's not moving. So yes, this is how agriculture markets have evolved in India. So what we call market 1.0, initially it was highly unorganized and physical markets. Farmers will come and basically they will come down to these unorganized places and sell their, agri-produce. Then there come, largely in 50s and 60s, we adopted a model where we basically mapped farmers and crops to the markets, which we called APMCs. And farmers were supposed to bring their agri-produce to these APMCs. And inside these APMCs or mandis, marketplace where farmers will sell their agri-produce, you will find, there are service providers, those who will facilitate the selling of, their agri-produce. But the challenges of, these market 1.0 was, it was absolutely physical, and there were very limited choice. For a specific commodity, you will find only 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10 number of, service providers are there, and they will decide the quality, they will decide the price of whatever produce you bring here. And then there came, some kind of a automation, or we call it market 2.0, which basically started with, ERP or automation of an standalone market. So few initiatives we did in 2011 and we digitized 52 markets in Punjab. And afterwards, another company came and they digitized, basically they established the first output platform in Karnataka, 100 mandis. So the market 2.0 was about digitization of an standalone market. But these markets will not talk to each other. I mean, these are not integrated with each other. So the visibility is not there. So market 3.0 and 4.0 is basically what is ENAM is. So going forward, now today in ENAM, we have basically digitized and integrated 1,000 agriculture markets in 18 states and 3 union territories across country. So now anyone can basically see the price movement across all these 1,000 markets, and you can basically put up your agri commodities, your produce for auction, and I will explain you. So this is basically market 1.0 was completely physical. 2.0 I will say partially digitized, where all the activities inside a market was basically digitized. Then market 3.0 was the step, where few markets starting talking to each other or visibility between a cluster, established. So Karnataka, REMA, Nagarajuna's project in Tamil Nadu, they were the early generation market 3.0. So market 4.0, obviously, for remote trade, 2 things are very important. Number 1, you should basically digitize the whole ecosystem. Number 2, you should have to facilitate remote trade, you should have quality quantification and then logistics organized. So in any good e-commerce platform, what essentially, what kind of elements any user, number 1, it should basically help any of the consumer of that marketplace to take decisions. So it should have a solid, robust decision support system backed by historical data, backed by current trends. Second thing, transaction settlements. Once the price discovery happens and auction is done, then you have to basically settle the transaction. Third is, delivery. So one is you should help your consumers, or you should help your users take informed decisions, better decisions, fundamentally. Second is you should have capabilities to settle the transaction. And third thing, you should be able to manage the logistics, or you should be able to basically manage the deliveries. So we believe market 3.0 has achieved before quality assigning and logistics part. Today, you can basically see the price movement across all these 1,000 markets. And for facilitation of remote trade, now we are moving towards basically the next step, which is establishing quality assaying infrastructure, and second, facilitating the logistics, which is ENAM part 2. We have got this, project again for next 5 years. So I will explain you going forward. So if we essentially look at market 6.0, we'll be completely looking into the outside India markets, So locally, first you digitize a standalone market, then you basically digitize a cluster of markets, then you integrated them, and then you scaled it up. Finally, once you are done with your domestic integrations and everything, you start looking into export and import markets. This is the evolution of markets in India, agriculture markets so far. So if you try to understand, what are the challenges or issues or how basically things work in agriculture market in India, it was a regulated trade. So basically, regulated trade choices will always be limited. Modern market looks rules. So, for example, today we have players inside these markets, those basically who facilitate trade for farmers. We are looking the role change, with the development of ecosystem. They should move rather than say we charge for service. They should start providing services. So this is again another objective of digitizing Indian agri market ecosystem. Second thing, agriculture is a state subject. Even for when we launched ENAM, I want to share with you, each state was supposed to bring minimum 6 amendment in their regulation. And in a country like ours, it takes time to basically facilitate all this. And we have got the project in the year 2014. And I would like to basically share with you all, first around 10 states, they basically changed all these regulations, 6 regulations. Changing any law in India is a massive exercise. But somehow that was done. And then we proceeded with, the project. So agriculture is a state subject. This is again a challenge. Then post-harvest management. You don't have, enough of infrastructure. Post-harvest management, if we look at, somehow it could not basically kept pace with the infrastructure development in other sectors of our economy. And basic grading, sorting, packaging facilities, aggregation, and then that visibility of demand and supply. So that we somehow lagged. We continue to produce and we continue to focus on productivity. We continue to focus on increasing production, but somehow, either government tried to take it back, through MSP mechanism, or we left, the whole ecosystem, as it is. So price realization of farmer produce, that was a consistent issue in India, and even today we hear a lot about it. Then when we said, because visibility is the basic fundamental, it is possible through only technology. So need united platforms, need unified platforms, and we also need commodity specific, value chain specific platforms. So different delivery models are required to come here and contribute. If you really want to basically change this sector or change this part of value chain fast, so collaboration is the only way forward. So for achieving that objective of free trade regime, so current government has introduced 3 very strong laws which basically facilitates the very basic assumption of free trade in India, especially for agriculture produce. So if you look at the first law, it facilitates the deregulation of agriculture markets. Need necessarily, if you look at today, each APMC has a defined catchment, and even for the outside mandi transactions, they are basically authorized to charge some kind of a mandi fees or some kind of a taxes. So this basically facilitates the complete freedom to sell anywhere, wherever farmer wants. And then there were issues like from one state to other state, so material or agri commodities can move seamlessly across states. So this first law basically facilitates that. Second is, as I said, now fork has to move to farm. So more of term contracts, more of aggregation of the demand, and then requirement, quality specs. So we have to aggregate our holdings on one axis. We have to aggregate our farmers purely because of dropping, holding size, and the negotiation power of farmers is decreasing day by day. So that is how the current, policymakers, they are focusing a lot on FPOs. So FPOs perhaps, is the next generation of cooperatives. And the idea is to basically aggregate on the input size, aggregate on the holding size, and optimize the resource utilization. And like I said, finally, we will be moving towards value chain service models, value chain solution models. So we really need to basically aggregate farmers, and so that they have better negotiation power at the time of purchasing inputs. They can have better access to right kind of advisory. They can also have a right kind of advisory, what to grow, when to grow, how to grow. Because this is a question. I mean, if you know the market, perhaps you can bring that kind of you can have that, you can expand, India is by and large, if you look at it, it is most of the time, we will say crop rotations are highly monotonic. And in most of the geographies, you will find the choices is very less because the market was set like this. So farmers will grow whatever is there in demand. So this has to be disrupted. So second, basically, second law facilitates legal framework for contract farming. Contract farming, there is already a framework, but there were issues in it. This law secures the interest of both buyers and as well as the sellers. And changes in Essential Commodity Act, a country who already have enough of food, and then and we are experimenting different models to basically extend relief to the needy. Digital is changing everything. Like the PDS is not necessarily need support from some kind of a law. You automate, you put up grain ATMs. A person can come, just swipe his Aadhaar card, and he can get whatever wheat or paddy or whatever he wants. So going forward, in last 5 years, this is a study done by McKinsey and Company. So this is from the market side. They have done a survey after COVID-19. So especially in agriculture. So these are the trends which they observe. Agriculture reforms and Government of India initiatives on different, aspects of agriculture, starting from soil health and market and others. Then push from production to market, oriented approach. That is ENAM and other unified platforms. Then focus on Make in India and export. This is what, users or most of the farmers or stakeholders, they have recognized, these 6 trends. Shift to digital. Digital is compressing, like someone said in today's, one of the session, where, open source is something, where you collaborate with each other and you reduce the time, for achieving certain kind of a goal. So shift to nutritional consumption. Now completely, it's again, professor also, pointed out it, people are looking for better food. People are looking for, enriched food, and people are basically interested in consuming, which is good for their health. So completely, this is a global trend. People want to eat whatever is good and safe for their health. Like Deepak also, indicated, if you don't put some nutrient in your crop, how this will be available to your body. So from nutrition side, we have focused more on, macronutrition. We have completely ignored micronutrition, and micronutrition, like human body, wherever, you have life, it is important. So those are the issues and anomalies basically, which can be corrected by improving visibility and moving things, from post facto to real time, so that decisions are informed and taken fast. So supply chain obviously is the backbone of any e-commerce or any digital delivery platform. So coming to, another study done by RBI in the same period. So this is what, farmers says in India. So they say, we basically open food processing centers for us, ban intermediaries, procurement, MSP, this is a demand, this is again a subject which we can basically discuss some other time. So what is the future of MSP? So timely information on market prices, that is very important. When I say each stakeholder in the value chain really deserve to have real-time information, not even just in time. So timely information is very important to take, informed decisions. Government advisory on crops, obviously government continue to hold that trust, because they take responsibility in case of any anomalies, any mishappening. Storage facility is again, is a very important thing, and reliable weather forecast. This is all farmer wants. So taking it forward, in India, we have two types of agriculture marketing systems. One is Mandi ecosystem. Mandi is basically agriculture produce committee. It's a designated place just in the middle or in some kind of a semi-urban or urban place where all the farmers of catchment, they will harvest their crop and they will bring this produce to what we call Mandi here, or what we call agriculture produce marketing committee. So all the produce will come here, and basically there are commission agents inside this, there are other service providers inside it, and some of the material government will basically buy on a fixed price, which we call MSP, minimum support price. So we have Mandi ecosystem. In India, we have around 2,400 major markets, which basically covers around almost 85% of the whole market. And if we also factor secondary markets, which are seasonal, then this number goes to 6,300. And then this is Mandi is a brick and mortar structure. It is a central point. There is an ecosystem of agri-produce selling outside the Mandi also. So we at Farmgate, basically to integrate the whole Mandi ecosystem, we executed, strategized, we basically created this platform and integrated all these 1,000 markets, which are covering around 74% of the current market of, with the estimation of $300 billion plus. So this eNAM caters Mandi ecosystem, and eFarm market is basically taking these integrations to ground. So eNAM is a national platform where people can come and basically have a visibility of price discovery and movements and deliveries. And at local level, at ground level, you still need to create infrastructure at village level. You have to create more sorting grading centers. You have to create basic packaging centers. You have to create warehousing. You have to basically integrate the supply chain also. So like I said, any good e-commerce platform, it is not complete till the time you settle the transaction and you settle the delivery. But in agriculture, in agri-commodities, quality quantification, basically that is the major reason that trust is today parked in the service providers. Deepak is sitting in maybe Ahmedabad or Mumbai. I am in Hyderabad. So till the time that quantity, I am a seller, he is a buyer. So that quality has to be quantified and certified. Only then this transaction basically between two remote parties can happen. So we have worked a lot on it. I will cover going forward. So quality assaying is one, and logistics is third, deliveries. So coming to the national agriculture market quickly. So this was, this is a revolutionary, PMO project, one of the priority program for country. Our Prime Minister, after, when he took over in 2014, like I said earlier, this was the most opaque part of the value chain markets where farmers will come and sell their material. And basically they were losing, or most of the value erosion was happening in this portion. So that is how it was basically decided that eNAM and the digitization of whole ecosystem of Indian agriculture produce markets will be the one of the priority program for the country also. So the objective of eNAM was transparent price discovery through electronic bidding, manual intervention minimized. Price has to commensurate with the quality. So there was a play in quality also. I'm a farmer, I have grown a quality, but there is no quantification. This is just a subjective issue. Someone will tell me it is A-1. So I will get the price of A-1, but further it will be sold at A only. So there was an arbitrage in quality also. So, and then it has to be digital for enhanced efficiency and transparency. Real-time data basically for resolving, information asymmetry issues. In India, we say, basically, we don't have symmetrical information, availability to all stakeholders. So finally, we have to bridge that information gap, and through digital only it is possible. So this eNAM was launched on the 14th of April 2016, and in the phase 1, we basically integrated 585 markets. So today, when we are talking, eNAM is the largest digital integration ever attempted in the history of agriculture globally. So first ever project basically to focus on increased income through better, marketing. Contrary to all previous schemes, they were focused on improving yields, improving quality, or whatever. So like I said, you have to find out or create the market first. and then you have to ask people to grow more or grow better. And then real time, I mean, most of the entire agri-commodity ecosystem in this country was post facto. You will come to know the price trend of a specific commodity next day in newspaper. Then there came TV. Then there came, your internet thing. So when we took this project in 2014, before that we did 52 markets integration in Punjab, basically not integration, digitization under a World Bank project. Then we did 32 market integration in Tamil Nadu. Basis that experience, we are an input company fundamentally, but we also came to know that it does not make any sense till the time basically we find out a solution, how to sell and where to sell. We have to create this market. We have to basically make this disrupt this market. Otherwise, farmer will continue to remain in that trap, and this invisibility in today's era is completely criminal. So that is how we said we will do it. At that time, internet connectivity in 2014 was not that great, but all the challenges were met by the team. So today we will just quickly go through. You can see we have 2 markets in Jammu Kashmir. We have 2 markets in Pondicherry. We have 1 market in Chandigarh. As of today, we have already crossed 45.6 million metric ton, trade over this platform. We have already crossed $20 billion, GTV on this platform in last 4.5 years. 175 commodities are trading on this platform today. More than 400 varieties of different crops. If you look at the farmer, we have around, more than 20 million farmers, those who have utilized, this platform more than, 6 times in last 3 years. So we can say you have a retentive farmer base of around 1.5 to 1.7 million farmers, which is a decent number to start with in India. Initially, we put up the kiosk inside these agriculture markets. Farmer will come and somebody will basically help them to sell their produce. But today, very fast, everything has shifted to mobiles. So mobile first basically is gaining ground here also. So, and in ENAM 1, we did around 8,000 different, training and awareness programs. In ENAM 2, which has started from January. So we have already done around 2,818 trainings, and in trainings already we have crossed, despite the challenges of COVID and lockdowns and everything, 221,132 service providers, farmers, different stakeholders in the market, they have participated here. So now this is the quick flow. So one farmer can bring multiple commodities, multiple farmers can bring one commodity. So at the moment, one time registration is there, KYC is done. The moment farmer comes at the Mandi gate, there is a gate entry. There they will just declare approximately what quantity, approximately how many commodities they have brought in, or what approximate quantity. So there, there is a lot formation. Lot is generated through the system. Then this goes for the assaying. First sampling will be done, and then quality assaying will be done. After that, this lot goes for the bid. Once, today I want to share with you when ENAM was launched. So we were basically first 3 months, we were having around 1.2, 1.8 kind of a 2 bid for per lot. Today, we get around 4.5 to 6 at times, and the highest bid there are very, very large numbers in some of the cash crops like turmeric. And so the moment, the auction is done, if farmer accepts the price quoted, immediately sales bill is generated, and then weighing is done, invoicing is done, online payment, is managed. And the moment online payment is managed, challan is issued. And today, ENAM have all the payment, methods, or all the payment, instruments active on the platform. And then finally, it exits gate of the market. So there are a few more, figures. I have already told. If you look at the food grain, we have 26 food grains of trading on the platform, 14 oilseed, 16 spices, 31 fruits, 50 vegetables, and miscellaneous, bamboo, coconut, etc., 38. So if you look at the, national performance, 76.9 million numbers, coconut, bamboo, and others. So because these commodities are sold in numbers. So farmer, I have already told. So we have some other, interesting, statistics here. FPOs, we have onboarded around 1,877 FPOs so far. And I said, aggregation is important to increase, farmers' negotiation power while, basically making decisions, while purchasing inputs, while, selling their output. So FPO obviously is the next generation or next move, which will basically help this value chain to get integrated fast. So up now coming to the quality. So today out of this 1,000, markets, we have around 750 plus assaying labs. Plus also we have invested in electronic assaying equipments. For example, as a Farmgate, we are invested in a company called Nebula. Nebula has made a product which is called MET. MET can give you 99.9% accurate, 99.9% repeatable result for 35 major commodities. And this all has been done by a team of IIT Jodhpur. So it's a patented product, and we are deploying it wherever we are basically getting orders. And as I said, quality quantification is a must, and the next is logistic organization. So we see a lot of startup coming here, try to develop equipments who can give you fast quality and accurate quality results. So for example, MET gives you result in less than 1 minute, and we have already deployed around 400 machines in various markets in India. So again, a lot of thrust has been given on the development of agriculture startup. You already have more than 700-800 million, investment here in last 2015 till 2020. So a lot of traction is there. So whatever disruption is required in quantifying quality and moving goods, we are hopeful that definitely we will achieve that in ENAM phase 2. Today, if you look at across country, we have integrated 2,800 electronic weighing scales, and there is a bigger scale in the mandi, and there is a small scale also. So right from weighment until the time quality is decided, and then when the auction is made and payment is made, everything is seamless. So these are few modules which we have developed over a period of time. We have integrated ENAM with WDRA, which is very important. We don't want farmer to sell under distress. They can keep their material in WDRA warehouse, deposit WDRA approved warehouses, and they can get immediate, payment realization on fair price, average fair price up to 70%, so that they can meet out the input requirement for the next season. And many of the states, they have already basically given permission, and they have already changed the regulation. They are announcing WDRA approved warehouses as a mandi place or a marketplace. So these are different modules, like there is a FPO module, weighment module, quality assaying module, ENWR, this is what I told you, e-permit, REMS. I mean, we have integrated with other markets also. REMS is a Karnataka government's, marketplace, basically where, 150 Karnataka markets are operating. So it is integrated with ENAM now. Then we have a Farmgate module. I mean, now farmers can basically do transactions from their field itself. And then now we have recently developed the cooperative module also. So again, if you just try to understand, today ENAM mobile application, it is available in 12 languages, 360-degree image, GPS tracking, and 2041, 471, the downloads of the recent version, and 1 crore bids submitted using mobile application so far. Daily average of bidding on mobile application is around 10,000. Correct. So till May, with harvesting season. Then we have, if you look at this slide, you will see we have integrated the whole ecosystem. I mean, nothing is left. I mean, it's kind of a fully end-to-end kind of a digitization. If you go through, all this, we are promoting now inter-mandi trade and interstate trade, which can be achieved only through, by quantifying the quality, and as well as, basically firming up the logistics. So these all are, these are some more features. I mean, you can locate the nearest market. You can basically see the progress of your, bidding process. See, once you reach it, I mean, the moment you log in, you will get an information by what time you should reach at the gate. And once you reach at the market, basically you can track your whole transaction process, lot formation, then quality assaying, and then, bidding. I mean, like we track, for example, courier deliveries. So lot progress tracker. Shopping cart is there. I mean, you can basically, if I'm a buyer, I can buy 10 commodities, in different markets, and I can quote for all the 10 in one go. So in COVID, logistics were very important. During the COVID first lockdown, we integrated 415 markets, and we also basically for logistic facilitation, we onboarded around 1 million trucker through 9 major, logistics marketplace. So that was Kisan Rath. That application is called Kisan Rath. So we are also basically developed a module where advanced supply and demand. Suppose if I'm a farmer, or I am a farmer cooperative, or I am a FPO, I can put up this with the availability of, green pepper for next 15 days. Same, I can also put up, their requirement for 15 days, and then, matching engine is there. The whole decision making, we are developing one after other, different AI engines, so that each stakeholder is facilitated to take the decision which he is looking for, in that moment. So this is, the ENAM evolution. I call it at times, revolution. So we started as a mandi. I mean, all the activities, all the process inside a mandi is digitized. Then we said, okay, these mandis will talk to each other. Visibility between all these markets, we should have in real time. Then we say virtual platform. We said, okay, we have to go to the fields now. ENAM 2 basically, on which we will be working, and we are working from January 2021 onwards. So data is democratic. You must have basically read this, announcement that government is coming with a agriculture data policy, because we have a firm belief at Farmgate, because you democratize the data, people will basically contribute more and fast. These insights are important. This was integrating such a value chain, such a complex value chain like India. You need hundreds of players jumping there and basically try to do their bit at some part or other part of the value chain. So we will be bringing the ENAM 2 will be the platform of platforms. This is again the first of its type, and we have basically arranged a team of highly accomplished software architects. It is like a couple of platforms operating side by side. So it's quite a complex issue, but we are quite confident. All the services platform should come here. All the virtual platforms should come here. All the mandi platforms should come here. Like I said, going forward, we visualize that each commodity has a value, and that has to be improved right from first you find out the market, and then you work backward, be it on price or be on quality or productivity, whatever. Like Indo-Gulf food corridor. This is one of the initiative where government of India basically is engaging with the Gulf countries, and they want to ensure their food security for next 25 years. So what I said, market 6.0 will be definitely working on that axis. So wherever India as a country has invested, we have investment in few countries. Definitely we want to take this platform there also. So because you have presence in a receiving country and you have a presence in forwarding country. So this is what is our thought. I can take you quickly, the snippets on ground. It was a massive implementation, largest ever attempted at any given point of time. 1,000 people, engineers, they were working in these markets, and there was a central command center, and we continuously try to improve ourselves. We have achieved 99.99% availability of the platform in last 5 years. Our target given by the government to us was the 10% conversion of physical trade digital. We have closed ENAM 1 with 19% conversion across all these 1,000 markets. So we are very, very committed, because we are an agriculture company. We don't do anything else. And definitely, I mean, this is our thought right from the beginning, before going back to starting right the agronomy, it is very important to unlock the markets. So this, you can see few of the activities, and quickly you can see, mobile application, bidding, trading, and, Honorable Prime Minister, and then Agriculture Minister launching ENAM, And now, quickly, I will share with you, what we do at Farmgate. Farmgate, basically, this is our ecosystem. So we have a, high-end, proprietary customized nutrient solution providing company. It is called Fertis. And Fertis, have Nagarjuna basically has set up a R&D around 15 years back. Today, we are sitting more than 254 different patents under that R&D. Those products, all those, secondary nutrition activities is being, handled under Fertis. So Fertis India basically take care of improving the nutrition. Farmgate basically is the integrator of entire agri value chain. Like I told you, basically, Nebula is our quality assaying arm, where we have developed this product MAT, which gives you 99% accurate and 99% repeatable result. See, fundamentally, if you look at, assaying of agri commodity globally is a manual issue. And I do one assaying, Deepak does, another assaying, they're same lot, same sample. So there will always be a problem. In MAT, each grain is tagged, each grain is marked, and it goes to cloud the moment, the scan is done. So that is how we could achieve. Now the second application, which will be dealing in chemistry, because in few of the chemistry, for example, oil content, NIR, you need to have an NIR, and then obviously pesticide residue issue is quite complex. It is very difficult to digitize in parts per billion. Perhaps you can attempt to basically achieve something which is in parts per million. So Nebula is a fantastic team. More than 15 IIT, young minds are working there. But they have already released and commercialized one product for grains. The second product for fruit and vegetable is on the pipeline. And then the third will be chemistry. Logistics.com is purely basically, we are working on it for last 3 years. It is organizing about, it's all about organizing logistics. Rail, road, air, marine, white collar, blue collar, machinery, the bill discounting, whatever you ask for. It is a complete different, logistic platform. But first we are rolling out, we will be rolling out. Logistic as such, has 63 modules. But first rollout, we have already done in Andhra. We have acquired another project in Andhra. It is called eFarm Market, where we are working on ground. We are consolidating each village. We have a presence, and we will those infrastructure at the ground level. So Deepak, I'm going fast. Don't worry. I will take only 2 minutes. So this is the basic essence. We say we know the quality. We goes back to our R&D. How to improve this quality. For example, farmer producing organization. Once, I was in UP, Barabanki, and we were basically piloting Nebula, MAT. So one farmer gets, 110 rupees more. Another gets 110 rupees less. Both are, neighbors. So after 1.5 hours, I see that farmer, just roaming around. Then I said, Bhaiya, do you really want to know something? He said, you have told my quality is not at par with that gentleman. But how do I improve it? So this is where we got the idea. All the feedback from quality size goes to Fertis, and they customize the solution. Like one of the session we said, it is very important to basically, improve the immunity. So all these Fertis products are environment friendly, and they are high, efficacy or high delivery products. So this is how we basically work. This is Nebula. This is the machine, correct? Today we have rolled out Nebula states and seed millers, FMCG exporters. Quality is an issue wherever you go. So you have to quantify it one day. This is how it works. 35 commodities already done and approved. So Prime Minister awarded, Google supported, and India patent number is given there. So this is how it works. You capture image, segmented, classified. Each grain is segmented. So now we are basically advocating with legal ministry, the law ministry, why need to keep all those samples. So once it is scanned, labeled, it goes to cloud, it is secure. We basically adhere to all security protocols. So if you look at the mandis, hundreds and lakhs of referral samples are lying there, be it fertilizer, pesticide, or commodity. So one report is fit for all. So the report basically, if you are a trader, it will give you trade parameter. If you are a miller, you are interested more malt in case you are a brewer, So report can be customized, highly customized. This is how the industries where Tabula is working, APMC, FMCG, blah blah blah. Correct. This is logistic. Where basically, we have already rolled out this logistic module in Andhra Pradesh. There we are trying. We will be organizing 65,000 crore worth outside the mandi ecosystem, and inside the mandi, we already have presence in ENAM. So when you start working on both the axes and these laws are done, so then scaling it up is easy. This is what we could learn in ENAM. Correct. So Andhra, is a very dynamic state, most digitized state, and it's and agriculture infrastructure fund is already announced by the government. Banks are giving, NABARD is giving support. So time to change things on ground now. So questions, please.
Very mesmerizing, sir. Like extensive work you have done, and it's what should I say? You have.
This is our dream, making Indian agriculture globally competitive.
And I'm pretty sure, your dream, you are already halfway, and with the right support from the ecosystem, it is going to work. Because of time constraint, I'll just ask you one question, sir. What do you believe? The possibility of you are collecting so much of data, and the trust is key. Whether it's a value chain, whether it is logistic, whether it is quality. Where do you see blockchain getting added up in your stack?
100%. This is what I'm trying to basically convince policymakers. Traceability. See, now we talked a lot about healthy food, right? From Professor Gardiner and everybody, emphasized. So you have to track, from where it is coming. Just look at the condition of our soils. These subsidies has to go. Deepak, one day I am a fertilizer company, one of the major fertilizer company in this country, and I don't want, I want to change the things. Proving. We have to take bold decisions. Otherwise, we are in a real vicious cycle. Blockchain will definitely help. Not only one, there are many issues. Traceability is one where blockchain can help. You can know who is spoiling the environment.
True.
If somebody has given wrong pesticide recommendation, and now we have done a lot of work in these satellite mapping and all that stuff. Basically what you say crop pest. Going forward, you have to help policymakers to organize their entire structure of procurement. You understand, now we are talking to FCI. So if the moment you do MSP procurement, every year government of Andhra Pradesh is losing 3,000 crore. So they purchase at MSP, and when they sell, even after milling. So you understand it, I need not to basically. So we say we will disrupt it. There will be a national command center for FCI. FCI is something we really need to, reform. It's a powerful institution.
True.
So India has to come out of jute bag now.
No, I fully agree. And luckily, I've been promoting what you have been talking about. In fact, since Radha Mohanji was the agriculture minister, I told him, you have achieved a lot with ENAM. Just add a little bit more of transparency through blockchain and a little bit more digitization on the various other parameters of collection of the grain, and you'll have export quality product, right? Unfortunately, this is where actually we ended up losing the plot.
See, even India as a country, even today, with a lot of we have seen many ministers and we are as a country, we are debating a lot, but we really need to have that data policy. So we said national data policy, whenever it will come, it will come. At least we should have agriculture. All these youngsters, just see, I want to show you, kind of, vibrancy is there in a startup ecosystem. So if you give them, all these data points, change will come fast. We have to compress timelines. There is no time.
No, again, sir, luckily
are heading towards disaster. I can tell you after my 32 years of experience.
No, I agree with you. And in fact, sir, luckily we have been working on that as well. The AI for AI, which is artificial intelligence for agriculture innovation, the initial part which started with World Economic Forum's initiative ended up as an idea. This consultative paper was actually outcome of that, and luckily by God's grace I was part of it. So we are trying to push that data stack for more than since 2018. Right? I hope now it will become a reality soon.
And see, people like you, we need more, these kind of networks. We need platforms, we need networks, we need daily debates. We have to identify markets outside India. Let us, bring down the cost. Set right this GATT thing. Useless. It is of no use. Farmers are dying in California, Australia, 3 years back-to-back drought. Canadian farmers, they are, so I mean, a lot of rejig can happen at global scale also. I mean, probably people can afford, good food there, but there are other issues, we can perhaps dissect those issues some other time. But I'm really very, very happy. You are very active. You are bringing people, bringing knowledge, and it has to go to, involve more people in education institutes.
Sure, sir.
Your marketing team should reach out to these, youngsters. I mean, we were we invested a lot of effort to establish assaying labs. A Marialguda type market where you get 22,000, 25,000 lot in a day. A Moga like market where you will get 32,000 lot of wheat in one day. How you will quantify? So, except for technology, tell me what else you can do. Yes, ag tech, biotech, and whatever, wherever the technology. CRISPR has changed the whole thing. You can slice genes like this now. $60 is the cost. In my time, I did my MSc in plant biotechnology in 1991. Correct. So transferring one gene for yellow mosaic virus took me 3 years. I'm from Pune. So
CRISPR and multiplexing of gene is the technology way forward. It is going to do a lot of wonders. So look forward to meet you in Hyderabad. Actually, I'll be in Hyderabad
anytime. It's a pleasure.
I'll be in Hyderabad first week of September.
I'll reach out. Deepak is an evangelist, I'm really impressed with your energy, not because you are sitting in front of me. I see you in fields. I see that, anxiety to solve problems. So this is here also, we are also coming from our promoters, Nagarjuna promoters, they are coming from a farming family only.
Right.
The founder was a serviceman like me. He saw that there is not a single urea plant in a state which is the second largest consumer of fertilizers in country, Andhra Pradesh. So then he went back to his home and he said things have to change. And our largest, shareholders at the time of establishment were the farmers of Eastern West Godavari district. So we brought, this water soluble fertilizers in this country. 10 years, Haifa and Yara, we worked exclusively with them. We were one of the earliest company to set up a full-fledged micro irrigation, manufacturing unit, one in Hyderabad, other in Vadodara. We also have a plant protection company called Nagarjuna Agrochemicals. We have our own 3 plants, but without R&D, it's of no use. You have to export. So, I mean, we will continue to meet and, exchange views. And more people are like you are required.
Sure. So thanks
so much.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure. It was an honor to have you. So now we move to our next speaker.
Okay.
He's
Sorry,
actually
Rabbani, I might have invaded how much minutes?
No, that's fine. That's fine, sir. So we have Mohammed Umer Rabbani. Mr. Rabbani is MSc Horticulture and a Global Gap Certified Farmer Assurer. He's someone who is having hands on ground in working with some of the most modern technologies when it comes to protected farming. So working in Abu Dhabi Agriculture and Food Safety Authority as an agriculture engineer in protected agriculture section, he's expert in growing native as well as exotic fruits and vegetables in hydroponic system. I'm so sorry for the delay in getting you online.
My apologies also.
No. So now the floor is yours, Mohammed. Please take us forward.
Hi, Deepak. Are you listening to me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Hi, Deepak. Hi. Thank you so much. And I am very delighted to be here. And I really appreciate your team that, mashallah, they made an informal school that everyone is learning from here without going to the school. So, mashallah, they are doing a very great job. I really appreciate your efforts, your team efforts. Mashallah, you guys are doing very good. As I go towards my topic today, agriculture round table is on the agriculture protocol, and I have been suggested to talk on protected agriculture. So as you know that now the world is going towards the urbanization. Our rural area is from the last 5 to 6 years, it's reduced to 25% reduced. Now they have more urbanization and limited resources also, like water scarcity, like we don't have much agricultural land also, and we don't have sustainability. So for that, we must have to innovate the new technologies like protected agriculture. So I just want to share some slides here. if you give me permission.
Yeah, you can share, Mohammed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So
Yes,
protected
we can
agriculture.
see your slides. Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
you can see. Well, first of all, what is protected agriculture? So protected agriculture, I think slides missing, or
Yeah, now we cannot see your slide.
just a moment. Just give me 1 minute. Now it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So first of all, what is protected agriculture? So protected agriculture is integrate both science and engineering-based approach, and that involve growing crops under the managed crop. Under the managed environment, protected agriculture is a process of crops in a controlled environment. That means that the temperature, humidity, light, and such other factors can be regulated as per the requirement of the crop. Protected agriculture is also modification of natural environment to achieve optimal growth also. So the purpose of protected agriculture, what is the purpose of protected agriculture? So first of all, it's a high plant quality because everywhere there's a quality issue. So in protected agriculture, you can get the good quality of produce, and also predictable crop timing. You can predict the time of the harvesting and predict the time of crops also, and constantly available quantity and limited environment impact. It is also fresh, high quality produce, free of pesticide. The main thing is it's free of pesticide, and also locally grown, and it is year around. And in this protected agriculture, we can save 20% of the water as compared to open field. So another thing, role of protected agriculture in a local food movement. The main thing is local food movement, as you know that. So the first thing is everyone is, everyone go for the freshness, everyone go for the safety, everyone want to improve the local economy, availability of unique varieties, that native variety also, exotic varieties also, knowing where your food is coming from. The main thing is that in protected agriculture, you know where food is coming. So the type of next type of protected agriculture, there are various type of protected agriculture. Some are greenhouses, naturally ventilated polyhouses, forced ventilated, insect-proof net houses, shade net houses also, plastic tunnels, mulching, raised bed, trellising, drip irrigation, also part of this protected agriculture. So I will go for the greenhouses. So greenhouses have soil. In some greenhouses, we grow vegetable in the soil. Some greenhouses, we use bags or containers, or in some greenhouses, we use pure hydroponics grown, and some tray crops also we use. But the most thing is hydroponic. We usually inside the greenhouses, we grow vegetables through the hydroponics. Major factors of the protected agriculture is light, temperature, relative humidity, air circulation, carbon dioxide, and oxygen. In UAE, as you know that in UAE, the temperature is much more, and we have more challenging like climate, water, and soil. We have harsh climate here. Temperature sometimes goes up till 45 to 50 degrees centigrade. So for that, we use some technologies like greenhouses in UAE for water scarcity also here, and water salinity also. We use RO machine. The main function of RO machine is to give us the sweet water, reverse osmosis plant. So the soil is also sandy soil in UAE. So just for that, we use hydroponics, because in this sandy soil, we cannot grow vegetables. So for that, we grow vegetable in hydroponics. So what is hydroponic? This is a method of growing plants without soil, by instead using mineral nutrient solution in a water solvent. There are advantages of the main advantage of hydroponic is you can grow anywhere. Like you can grow in urban areas also. You don't need proper agriculture land. No soil setup testing, hazard harvesting is easier, 20% less space also, grow year round also. And the more main thing is that our nutrients balance. We can, in hydroponics, we give them the balanced nutrients to the plants. And also there is no issue of also weeding. And there is some disadvantages of hydroponic also. This is expensive, you know, that constantly monitoring is required. Also putting together a hydroponic is not cheap. Hydroponic system is vulnerable to power outage. Microorganisms that are water-based can creep in rather easily. Growing a hydroponic garden demand technical expertise. Production is limited compared to the field condition. If the disease appear, all plants the system will be affected, because it's controlled environment. If the virus comes, so all the plants will be affected. If the bacteria comes, so all the plants affected. Without soil to serve as a buffer, if the system fall, plant deaths will occur rapidly. Stages of hydroponic plant growth. First is seeding, then germination, then transplantation, then the growth and flowering stage, then the fruiting stage, then we harvest. Method of hydroponics. First method is solution culture. This system employs various techniques of growing. It may be static, continue flow, NFT-like, ebb and flow, DWC, deep water culture system, aeroponic, frigoponic, and second one is medium culture. In this medium culture, we use some growing media instead of totally water, because in solution culture, we don't use any media, only water, pure water culture. And in medium culture, we use some growing media like gravel, perlite, rock wool, cocoa beet. These are the major media. Type of hydroponic system. We have different type of hydroponic system. First one is a wick system. As you can see in the picture, that is this wicks used, and this the function of this wicks is to take the water from there and give it to the plants. And second one is drip irrigation system. Also we use through media. As you can see that drip irrigation system is used here, and in the small container you can see the growing media also we use here. NFT system. This one is NFT system. In NFT system, we have to take care of slope. We give them the, you can see here, growth rate is becoming in slope. From one side, we have to give the water, and from the other side, it's drained. Ebb and flow system. This method used to reservoir to hold your nutrient solution. Above the reservoir will be tray or growing chamber that will hold nutrient solution during flooding. This will be this pump reservoir that will take the solution up to the tray and growing chamber. Here the solution will sit until the media can absorb the appropriate amount of solution that it will drain. Deep water culture. DWC system is typically comprised of main reservoir that hold the bulk of the nutrient solution, and an attached system to the buckets through which the nutrient solution circulates. You can see here that water circulate. Aeroponic also. Aeroponic is a process of growing plant in an air or moist environment without the use of soil or aggregate medium. You can see in the picture. A growth medium. Next one, a growth medium. Water holding capacity. Growing media means what are the characteristics of media? What are the function of growing medias? Like we must have to see the water holding capacity. The substrate with higher water holding capacity will give plants all the time they need to absorb water. Second one, we must have to see the drainage. Drainage is important to the root health. Our saturated growth media become breeding ground for plant diseases. Then we must have to see the durability. The media must be durable. And then the sportiveness. Plant require the spores from the root area. So we must have to notice the sport also. Media must be the sportiveness. Major crops grown in horticulture. In hydroponics, you can see in this, this is the main thing in hydroponic. We grow different crops in hydroponic. In the protected agriculture like capsicum, cucumber, cherry tomato, round tomato, eggplants. If we divide this section into three types, one is vine crops, another one is leafy greens, microgreens, and other also fruits. In vine crops, the most crops that have been grown, capsicum, cucumber, and tomato. In leafy greens, lettuce, kale, etc., microgreens, coriander, thyme, etc., and in fruits, the strawberry. These, if we categorize this into four, it will be more good. So the main thing is in hydroponics or protected agriculture, we can take the more production from the protected agriculture by using the hydroponics. As in hydroponics, in per square meter area, capsicum, if I give you example, capsicum, five plants per square meter, or 3 plants, 3 to 5 plants. Mostly we go for the 3 plants, and the yield is 7 kg from per plant. And also in UAE, we usually start from the September until April. 8 months crop, this capsicum and cucumber also, this 4 plants per square meter we grow here, and the total yield from the hydroponic cucumber 4 kg approximately. It's become 4 to 6, but 4 average. Cherry tomato also 5 kg. So by using this hydroponics techniques, we can get the production more as compared to other open field crops. So these are the main things for the hydroponic, as I mentioned here, that the leafy greens, now the world is going towards the leafy greens, because in UAE almost most of the farmers, they are going for the leafy greens. Everyone like that, and the high revenue also from the leafy greens. Deepak? Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, if you have any question, you can ask. Because the time is limited, I'm also on fasting, so
no, I understand. I understand.
That's
so
why
thanks.
I go fastly.
No, perfectly fine. Just couple of questions. The first question is that, like, in some of the markets, specifically GCC, as you rightly mentioned, that
Yes.
greens and leafy greens have been key crops, because
Yes.
it is a salad eating country, right?
Exactly.
So do you see, like, in UAE, with the type of investment happening in hydroponics, like from Aero Farms to Emirates, or all investing heavily in vertical farms, do you
Yes,
see other
exactly.
crops, specifically like fruits, would also be considered going forward?
Yes, like strawberry also, they are growing strawberry also here. And one farmer here, they are growing pineapple also in hydroponics. Now most of the, if I give you the example of Abu Dhabi government is very sportive, and they give subsidy to the farmers. They give consultancy to the farmers. After when they give a consultancy, and we go there in the farm, and after that, the produce which is coming from the farm, we sell them. Also, same project like Enam, we take the product from the farmers and sell into the market. Farmer don't have to go to the market. So these policies from the government of the Abu Dhabi. So for that purpose, they are growing towards the fruits also, vegetables also. They are growing more and more now.
No, in fact, I had opportunity of visiting your the farm shop, which is in the main building itself at the ADFSA.
Sure.
So, I was there to make a presentation on digitization, and ended up seeing a beautiful farmers market. So next question would be how about the citrus? I've seen there is some work also going on trying to grow citrus in controlled protected environments.
Sorry, your voice.
Citrus. So citrus, the typically
citrus.
lemons. Yeah.
Yes. But they are not growing hydroponically. They are growing in the protected agriculture. So if I will have opportunity, so I will give you slides on the fruits also. Approximately more than 20 fruits we are growing in UAE, which we brought from the outside. Exotic varieties we are growing in UAE in the protected agriculture.
Perfect.
Apple. We are growing apple also here in the greenhouses. Apple also, mandarin also, mango inside the greenhouses we are growing here.
Yeah, so guys, I would say, like, keep an eye on UAE because they are growing rice in Sharjah and apples in Abu Dhabi.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So I had luckily opportunity of having good exchange with ICBA, ADFSA, right?
Exactly.
And seeing innovation happening in agriculture there, and also had opportunity of interacting with Her Excellency Mariam to understand the way forward. I wish all the best to UAE, the government of Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, because they are trying to do something which is, I believe, is magic. So thanks a lot, Mohammed, for speaking and participating.
Thank you so much.
And wish you all the best. And thanks to the audience for patiently going through all the 7 roundtables. We look forward to more such interesting events. In fact, the next of the lot is Women in Agriculture in India. This is what we'll be doing in September. And we look forward to have interesting, I'll say that, innovative as well as the sector-changing women in Indian agriculture who would be talking about and sharing their stories. And we would look forward to, again, I'll say that support from our fraternity, the audiences, and look forward to have more such lively interactions. Thank you and have a safe evening.
All the best. See you again.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Dheeraj.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
All the best. Take care, guys. God bless.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak and Neeraj.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you, Dr.
And Dushyant-K,
Forward to meet you, Deepak. Sometimes I mean.
Dushyant sir, you're really doing a wonderful job, and hats off to your efforts in making Indian agriculture, globally competitive. Really.
Thank you so much. This encourages me to do more.
Really,
Correct. Yes, we have to.
We really
all of
appreciate
us
your
will change
efforts,
it. All of us. Every contribution is important. See, please understand, you have a government at place who has will. I mean, policy support counts a lot. I could have alone, could not have delivered such a massive project. So, I mean, if you have belief, you can do it. Thank you so much. I will not take much time.
Sure.
Okay. Bye. See you guys. Fantastic, Dr.
Thank you, Neeraj, for arranging this.
Thank you,
And
Dr.
we
Krishna.
wish all the luck for H1YB to come up and
tomorrow
serve
we will
the
have
farming community
tomorrow we
particularly.
will have a global platform for captive cultivation, and in Hyderabad someone has set up a 200-acre hydroponics plant. I know
Triangle
someone
farms.
whose name is Praveen Kumar, who worked with my team, Dr. Praveen Kumar, Kheti Wala. I know some IITian Geet Sethi. He is experimenting something South Mumbai's customers. So very exciting times.
So Triangular Farms is doing amazing work in your state, sir. You have some very good players in the market, particularly who are creating the future of Indian agriculture, particularly in and around Hyderabad, if I'm right.
See, entire India is buzzing, courtesy to our, current policymakers, our current government, our visionary prime minister. Please believe me, I mean, we work away from politics, but whatever is good is good. As a professional, as a farmer, I mean, 17th generation farmer, I mean, I feel a lot of relief, more than a professional.
To talk about, you were talking about, just one last word. I come from a very remote agricultural village called Kambam in Theni district in Tamil Nadu.
I know.
And we produce.
Theni maize, I have sold a lot of fertilizers there.
That's what we produce.
Gobi Patti Chalam and others, everyone.
We actually produce, the region produces coconuts and banana in a lot.
Know.
And your technology that you were explaining, I really believe that it is going to be a game changer.
2 crore number of bamboo and coconut we have traded, and now I will deliver that directly in Vashi and Ajadpur.
That is really a great service to the
100%.
nation, sir. We
No
salute
second.
you and all the people who are involved in your team.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepak, for letting us interact with us, and thank you, Neeraj, for coordinating everything. Thank you.
Yeah,
Take care. All stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, sir.
Take care, everyone. Stay
Bye.
safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.